Greetings, brothers and sisters from around the world. Pull up a chair. It's time to get down to the business. I am your host, your brother, your humble servant, Mr. Jason Black. Glad to be with you all here today. And we are going to go ahead and bring up the whole band here. So, lo and behold, tonight we've got Andre is going to be joining us here. He is a tax attorney in mergers and acquisitions, with some very large clients involved there. So he's going to be a good person to talk to in that regard. And then we have my favorite troublemaker from the East Coast. Hello, Liz, who never saw a good day she couldn't ruin. So let's go ahead and get into that here. All right. Now, the reason why I'm doing a nice program here is I'm discussing about what is Black men's value. And there was something in particular that brought that to mind. There were two things in particular that brought that to mind. I had a program that I did here last week. Don't ask. I had a program I did here last week, and it was on that article that the Shade Room, I already discussed that here before, but the article that the Shade Room did that was talking about how dating opportunities for men are decreasing as more, quote, healthy relationship standards. So it basically was completely bogus in that regard. Completely bogus. But I did get to have some conversations with some people. And it did get into something else that I wanted to discuss here, because what I want to talk about is value. And that is what I want to talk about here tonight. And the reason why I want to discuss that is because I had seen something in particular. I couldn't help but notice, and we all know I am jaded and cynical, but I couldn't help but notice that there was a, shall we say, disproportionate number of individuals who were very, very critical where Black men were concerned in these areas, but not nearly as much as where non-Black men were concerned about. And it was one of those dynamics. It was one in particular. And I can't find it right now, but it was one in particular. And it was literally a fella, I don't know if he was Irish or Italian, but it was literally this guy didn't have two pennies to rub together, literally. She's taking care of this dude. And yet she had a lot of criticism to make where Black men were concerned. So that got me to thinking here. I want to discuss this. What is a Black man's value? And then specifically where Black men are concerned. Because after I see things like this, it really does make it a situation where it's like, wow, how much is good enough? What do you have to do to be good enough? What is enough? Or is everything just ungrateful no matter what you do? So, Andre, I want to start with you because, of course, I want to get you in trouble first. So that's the first thing I want to discuss here. So you are obviously doing your thing out there. You're making stuff happen. You've gotten your act together, as it were, there. But I wanted to discuss here about your perspective on that. Living on the East Coast, you're doing big things. That's great. But do you feel that you are valued the same as every other man is?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. And I would say that is because of my accomplishments, and they speak for themselves. I don't know what that post is about, but I would say guys like me and my colleagues and friends, I don't know that world. As you say, it's never been a greater time for successful men.
Yeah, you certainly never had more options. However, I will say one thing. Having options is not the same as having respect. And I think there's where a bigger issue comes from, because you do all of this. As a man, I think nothing is more important to us than respect. That's the reason for doing all of this. You know, we don't look for praise. That's not what respect is. We don't look for accolades. You know, when you take a look at the old mafia dons, those guys were low key. They didn't want anybody recognizing them, but they were respected among the people. Nobody was around shouting their names. Nobody was buying billboards. They weren't famous, but they were respected. And that's the part I want to ask about here. As a Black man, you're a professional doing your thing there. Do you feel that we are as respected as we should be?
Okay, in that instance, no, absolutely not. We're not as respected.
What's the difference? What are the differences you see?
I would say that in my experience, it's essentially the respect doesn't come until after you've shown essentially all the paperwork to prove, hey, I'm not whatever your, I guess, stereotype or thought process is of it. But it's never just as soon as they meet you, they're not going to meet. They don't necessarily always meet us with a baseline respect. It's almost. I'm going to disrespect you until you show something otherwise.
And that's an issue that I find that pretty much is the same thing right there. It's like, wow, because when you make that the standard, then you're going to have to do 4 or 5 times, and then it becomes, a hamster wheel. It's never enough in that regard. Liz, because we know you don't like black men, so I just want to get that out of the way here first.
I love black men. Only date black men.
Okay, she's saying that for political purposes. Don't swallow it. But in your perspective, do you feel that we receive the same value as other men do? And I'm talking about just on a basic street level. I'm not even getting into male, female just yet. I'll get into that in a moment. But at a basic street level, do you believe that we receive the same value?
No, I don't. And I don't agree with that. I think that our men don't get the respect that they deserve. I agree with the other guests that, it's almost like you have to show all your credentials before you can sort of earn the respect instead of just it being given to you, for simply existing as a human being. So I agree.
How much is enough?
Well, honestly, I think that, as long as you're carrying yourself in a respectable manner, then you deserve respect. And by that, I mean, you're not yelling and screaming at anybody that you see walking down, young lady that you might find attractive, and, you're carrying yourself with dignity, right? I think that you deserve all the respect, off the break, like until you prove otherwise, right? Or until you disrespect others.
Well, you know what? That's a very interesting way of seeing that, because I think that's exactly what the problem is. Other people, other men, let me stop saying other people. Other men are not held to that standard. They don't have to do that. That's the real thing right there. We're held to a different standard than everybody else. We have to be way more docile. We have to be way more extra just to even get noticed, just to even be acknowledged. We have to do a whole lot more. Other men don't have to do that. They don't have to do that at all. You don't have a black male Karen. You don't have that. It doesn't exist. That's not something that you've ever witnessed. So for us, I that's one of the main things I notice when we talk about value. Other men get to sit up here and be belligerent. They get to be respected, be belligerent, and then be respected afterward. As a matter of fact, not only are they respected for it, that's seen as an accolade. That's seen as a plus. That's an attribute. Oh, he's chief ass kicker. He's chief head buster. He can do that. But where we're concerned, we don't even have to be a millionaire. It doesn't matter. You're at the checkout line at McDonald's or you're buying $1 million house. For us, it's a totally different standard where that's concerned. So I expect and appreciate what you're saying there. But that's literally what I'm saying, which is why it was one of those things when I'm seeing these females and they're with a white dude who's doing nothing. Now, if they want to be with him, that's perfectly fine. Knock yourself out. But to say that his nothing is the equivalent of a black man setting you up lovely, that's the part that is offensive for me. And that's what leads me to saying here, how the hell much is enough? What is a black man's value? What do we have to do in that regard? And one of the other reasons I'm bringing that up is because you have a lot of men, and I'm going to say this just directly here. You have a lot of men who change women's lives. And that's another thing that just becomes this dog chasing its own tail. Nothing is good enough in that regard. That no matter what you do, you're always told there's something more that needs to be done. A white man can just show up and his showing up is sufficient. That's the value that he brings. For a black man, it is not enough. So it becomes this very imbalanced, lopsided thing. Now, if I'm offending everybody right now, I understand that because you came to the right place to be offended. If you agree with what I'm saying, give me a thumbs up in the chat room and hit my likes button for me. If you don't, leave things like they are, and I'll just sign off here in a couple of minutes because I'm not feeling the greatest anyway, to be totally honest with you. But that's the main thing I'm taking a look at there is that, Liz, I want to say about that. why do we have to be nice? Why do black men have to be nice? Why can't it just be that we've done what we're supposed to do? Because that's what everybody else gets. They don't have to sit up here and put you in a Beamer or a Benz to get that level of respect. They don't have to do that. So when we talk about our value as men, first thing I have to say is, okay, well, if it's good enough for Brad and these other guys, why isn't it good enough for us? Why do we have to be nice?
Well, I would just say that, obviously we know that we live in a society that stigmatizes the black man, right? We're automatically stigmatized based on the color of our skin. So off the break, that's something that we know going into certain situations, whether it be the corporate world or the social world, depending on what kind of social environment you're in, that going into it, if you act a certain way or if you're not nice, to put it in the words that you've used, then you're automatically going to be stereotyped, right? Or outcasted or blacklisted, or, they've already have this certain perception of you. And because you're not nice or doing the most to make everyone feel comfortable, then they want to label you as, oh, yep, exactly what I thought. This person's a thug, this person's a professional, this person doesn't have it together, they're not well spoken or whatever, what have you, right? So I honestly think that it's just a very ignorant judgment that people make based on appearances, right? And I think it's totally unfair. I believe that everyone deserves, a fair chance and respect given no matter what, right? As long as they're being respectful when they enter the situation. So that's my take on it.
Okay, well, let me take it out of the general environment of society. And let's just talk about among black people, and particularly black men and black women. Why do we have to be nice? And let me bring up another reason why I said this here. And you're welcome to disagree with this all you want to, because I'm sure you will. But, and Dre, I'm going to get to you here in just a moment as well. The reason why I'm bringing this up is because last week I had a program that I did here a week or two ago. And there was a lovely young lady from TikTok, Brazia. She was a doll. And I got to speak to her mom, Mama Jen. Shout out Mama Jen. I wound up making a YouTube short about it because I wanted to have a comparison between her life and then her daughter's life and what she expected. And this lady, and I'm going to be as respectful as I can be. I'm not being disrespectful, Mama Jen. I'm just laying it out the way it happened, okay? She talked about her ex-husband, Brazia's father. And I asked, what was his personality like? And her response was, well, he had I'll edit this, crappy personality. He was a drunk, woman beater, general no good Nick. All right, fine. But she said he was a very good provider. All right. To which I said, by the way, about his drinking, did he drink before he married you or after? Oh, he started drinking after we got married. I said, oh, so he didn't start drinking until he got married to you. And they were laughing about it. But in reality, to be totally honest with you, it's not funny. I'm going to just be brutally honest now. I mean, at the time, it was a little humorous. But in all honesty, that's not funny. Think about this for a moment. This man married this woman. He didn't have children out of wedlock with her. He married this woman. He was making $70,000 or $80,000 back in 2000, back when the dollar was still worth a damn for gas. And the way in which he's being characterized today, without him here to defend himself, by the way, which is why I told her he's not here to defend himself. That right there, do you realize what a gut punch that is? Like, what accusations to the side because he's not here to defend himself. Think about that for a few moments. When I think about Charlie Sheen and a bunch of other people I could name off names of, that doesn't happen. That doesn't happen. It seems like we're set aside for particular ridicule because we're easy targets. And that's the thing I want to talk about here tonight. Setting us aside for ridicule because we're easier targets. What do you think of that, Liz?
Well, I think that it's not so much of an easier target, but it's more so of the stereotypes are out there, so I could put you in a box, right? And people like to put you in a box. When you're going above and beyond what the box that they try to put you in, that's what starts to make people feel uncomfortable, especially people that maybe they don't have it all the way together or lack some of the things that maybe you have strengths in. It again makes people feel uncomfortable. So at the end of the day, I think that, when you're going outside of that box and you're meeting above and beyond the expectations of what people think you are or think that you're capable of, then they have to sort of pinpoint your flaws, right? I mean, we see it all the time. It's like, you could do a million things right at work, but the one time you mess up or make a mistake, it's like people hone in on that, right? It's like it can't be forgiven. It's never forgotten. It's brought up over and over again, and it's because it's like, oh yeah, I thought that this individual was gonna climb out of the box, but nope, they messed up, so they're just what I thought they were, right? So it soothes people, I think, to be able to pull you back down, right, and put you back in your place where they have you boxed in, if that makes sense.
Andre, this lady was she said she was 41. There's a little bit of a debate whether or not she was, but she said she was 41. She's got 2 grown children, which, by the way, when you do the math on that, carry the 3, that doesn't work out so well, but all right, you're 41. She's looking to go to Dubai. She is looking to be in one of the better parts of the Carolinas, by the way. She wants to go on vacation a couple of times a year. She wants to also go out and carousing with her girls on a weekend if she can get it in there, by the way, as well. In her 40s, allegedly. In her 40s. And the level of disrespect is an issue that I'm taking a look at there, because how does that motivate somebody? What type of motivation do you have under those circumstances? So you as yourself as an attorney, you're not young at this or whatever. Is that the kind of thing that you think motivates or demotivates a man?
Yes, I definitely think it can motivate or demotivate a man. I would say even just that, well, I'm 29, so even at my age, I've just noticed how you mentioned with that nice factor where all women want you to be nice, but I've just noticed, as you said, that nice word's thrown around to essentially mean whoever does what I say when I want. And it's just such a weird thing that it's just a catch-22. It's great. All right, you give them everything you want, then you just get stampeded on, then they don't want you. And frankly, as you mentioned, no other men have to be nice. White guys, Asian guys, they don't have to be nice. They just need to be productive, and they get the respect, or they just get the respect, just like we said, baseline upon introduction.
On their looks.
Yes, and as you mentioned, that example with the alleged 41-year-old, if a man's doing all that for her and giving her that lifestyle, I mean, respect should, I honestly dang near want to say praise should be what he deserves, because I don't want to offend her, but I don't know how many men, I know no one in my age group's trying to sign up for that, or at least not for her per se. And I don't know how many other guys, the partners I have at the firm that I work at, I don't know if any of them are signing up for that type of deal. So, I would say even the guy who's bringing half of that deserves not just respect, deserves praise, because at this point, as you said, as you like to say, she got to choose from the options that are actually available. What other options is there for her?
Well, the dollar that a black man makes, we have to work 3 or 4 times harder to get the exact same dollar. When you take a look at your non-white counterparts, we have to work 3 or 4 times harder to make the exact same dollar bill. That's even if you're doing street money, by the way. The white dudes don't do the same amount of time you're going to get. They don't get arrested as much, and they're not going to do the same amount of time. You're going to have to work harder than them. If a black man's got $1 in his pocket, I don't care if he's the biggest buck dancing Bojangles out there. He still had to work harder than the white guys did, by the way. So this isn't a matter of me just saying, oh, well, under certain circumstances. No, under any circumstances. It doesn't matter what you're doing. There's no such thing as an easy dollar for a black man. There isn't. And it's set up to be that way. And nobody wants to acknowledge that. Because for the most part, contrary to the image that's put out there about us and whatnot, that's not, we're the easiest going group of dudes out there. If we were harder going, we'd be turning up a whole lot more stuff since George Floyd. We're the easiest going group, and that's taken advantage of. So when I talk about a black man's value, if somebody were listening, they would think we're the most cantankerous, disturbing the peace people out there, period. And that's not the case. That's a lack of value for us, is what I'm saying there. And that's a lack of value. I bring up this example all the time and whatnot, but it's true. As a female, all you got to do is show some thigh or some cleavage, and you'll get deference. You will get dealt with lightly. We ain't got no thigh or cleavage to show. We either bring results or something of an unfortunate nature happens. There is no easy ride for us. There's nobody saying, well, he's somebody's cousin or whatever. We don't get that. So what I'm saying is, when you've been think about, and Liz, you have children. Andre, I don't know if you do, but Liz has children. If you haven't had to deal with forget school to prison pipeline, that special ed thing, especially if you have sons, it's basically routine. If you have a black male son, you have a black son. They're all males. But anyway, you have a black son, at some point, somebody's going to talk about putting him in special ed. That's just standard procedure. You know what? Your son ain't doing so well. We need to put him in special ed. Okay. That's just standard procedure to see if you'll go for it. Special ed, Ritalin, out of school. That's standard. Think about what that does to the boys' self-images of themselves early. Then this has been going on way before I was born. And then he makes something of himself, going through all that environment. And then he gets treated less than when he's had to work 4 times harder. What type of attitude are we supposed to have after doing all that? What type of person are we supposed to be? What are we supposed to be doing after that? How are we supposed to respond? What type of men are we supposed to be after those circumstances, Liz?
Well, I know society, obviously they expect you to, just keep on going with a smile on your face, right? And be the best that you can be and pull yourself up by the bootstraps, as they say, right? I don't think that's fair. I don't think that that's right. Definitely, I can attest to the conversations that take place within the school system. I have a daughter and I have 2 sons. And so my oldest in particular, have been chosen to have these sort of taken out of class and special classes. And as his number one advocate, I said, absolutely not. Why should he be treated differently? Right. And so at the end of the day, as Black men, you guys have a much more uphill battle to work with your self-esteem, your self-worth, and you have to kind of sort of rise above the idea that, okay, I'm not what these people think of me, right? You have to have that self-worth ingrained in you. Hopefully you get it at home, or hopefully, it's within your community, within your support system, within your structure, your circle, as your village, as they say. But it's one of those things where you actively have to work on it, because if not, you will grow up to be jaded. You will grow up to be just not have a positive outlook on life, right? And
I was jaded. I was jaded at 12. Okay, I mean, you're not going to make it that far. It's not you're going to grow up jaded. You're not going to make it that far. Back in the 90s, you remember the movies that were put out, Boys in the Hood, Menace to Society, and whatnot. Take a look at Tupac and things. We don't make it to adulthood. We're jaded by the time we're 10 or 11 years old. We won't make it to adulthood before reality sets in. We're not going to get that far.
I agree. I mean, I know for me, I constantly have these reaffirming type of conversations with my son, specifically my oldest, to help him reaffirm who he is, reaffirm, his value, his worth. I even tell him, no, it's not right that they're constantly hyper focused on you. No, it's not right that Johnny does it, and when you do it, it's a big deal, and they call me, and now you're in big trouble. It's not right. But at the end of the day, you have to learn to play the game. Again, it's not right. But if you want to survive, and if you don't want to be sucked up into that pipeline and all paperwork drafted about you, and, continuing on to follow you throughout the rest of your academic career, you have to toe the line. So it just comes down to your support system at home. Not to say you won't be jaded, but someone there to reinforce, again, your worth, your value, your esteem, all of those sort of ideals that we form about ourselves when we're growing up.
And can I jump in and say something real fast, Jason?
Yes, go ahead.
And so I don't have kids, so I can't relate to the parent side, but just from my own personal experience, like you said, to that Jada point, I remember in kindergarten, actually, the teachers, like you said, my kindergarten teacher tried to put me in I guess an ADHD or a special ed class. And my parents were not having it. They said, okay, we're going to give all right, let's take a test. They said, we're going to give it to everyone in the like all the kindergarten, I guess, different classrooms. And out of 150 kids, I think I scored like fourth highest on it. And like you said, I don't get to make it to 12 years old. Pretty much at 5.5, I had a chip on my shoulder. So I was thinking, what's up with me? Why are you, like you said, why are you targeting me? There's literally nothing here to indicate that. And there's no disrespect to the people who have learning disabilities. But like, there's nothing to indicate that I have that. And I understand Liz's point, but I would say I don't expect white people and all that. I don't expect any respect from them. I mean, let me phrase that. I don't expect anything from them other than what's owed to us as Black people. I would say for just the main topic, though, I would say the issue that I have, and I would say other Black men have, is when growing up, we get it from Black women that, oh, Black men aren't this, or as a kid, they even say Black boys are always doing this. Black boys always do. You always got to watch those nappy head Black boys over there and things of that nature. So at least I'll say for myself and maybe some others like me, I don't expect anything from non-Black people. It is what it is. But from the actual Black women that we have, that matters more to me because, as Jason says before, we wear the same uniform. Where at least we should be on the same team. Maybe not all of us mentally are on the same team, but we should be on the same team.
Well, certainly, like I say, that's a conversation I wish would happen more often as well, because people severely discount what happens. Girls went into that later because they don't have to really hang and bang in the marketplace, or at least they get deference down the line. There's no deference given to us. It's already hard enough being a male. Now you get Black and it's thrown elbows. And when you get older, now you're working 4 times as hard to make the same dollar. And everyone around you is ungrateful for it as well. So it really does have an issue. That really does make an issue for me as far as I can see there. Greg is asleep at his desk. So not really sure what happened to him. Greg is asleep over there.
I'm not asleep.
Okay. If you're doing something under the desk we should know about, just let us know.
I was just jotting down some notes.
I thought you were doing something we should know about. So I was about to say, should we leave him alone for a minute? What's on your mind, Greg?
Yeah, I appreciate you having me again, Jay. I grew up in South Central LA, right in between the Athens Park Bloods and the Hoover Crips. I had to walk to school every day. I had to change colors of my t-shirts. When I was wearing a blue t-shirt, I would get hit up by Crips. When I wasn't wearing a blue, I was wearing a white or black t-shirt, I would still get hit up. Like, there was no getting through these guys. And, I was slated to be dead by 17 or 18. And here I am now. I'm 47. I mean, there is a silver lining under the clouds that hover over us. And I just want to say that no matter where you are in life, you can make it out. You can make it out, and it's extremely freaking harder for Black guys to make it out, but you can. And I just want to give some words of encouragement to all my brothers out there. Like, if you're struggling right now, like, there is a better side to things. And
here's the problem I have with that, Greg. That's a very nice Pollyannish view. Well, you can make it out. Make it out to what exactly? Where exactly are you going?
To be successful with whatever it is that you put your mind to.
What good is success without the requisite respect?
I mean, to be honest, like I was never respected by Black women. So even from a young age, I was never respected. I was always looked at as like dorky, goofy, like you ain't a thug. So I wrote Black women off a long time ago until recently. And I started dating a few Black women again that had hit the wall. But it seems like it takes them hitting the wall to wake them up.
Why do you think you were not respected?
Because I was different. You know,
Different from what?
different from your average Black guy in the hood. And back then, back in the mid 80s, you know, all Black guys basically came from the hood. If you were from somewhere else, you were a Carlton or something. You know what I'm saying?
So what do you think was the reason why what do you think was the reason why they were responding to you like that? And are they still responding to you like that now?
Oh no. Like hell no. I'm a 6-figure earner. I'm over 6 feet tall. I've got it all going for me in that sense. But the reason that they weren't respectable to me back then as opposed to now, I think it all has to do with money.
Explain what you mean by that.
Well, I'm not on Instagram. You know, I don't have any clout. Like all I have is me. I dress average. I don't like overdo it, you know, except for my car. I drive a nice car, but that's beyond the point. But I really think that Black women value things that are inaccessible to them. So if a Black man at 18 is broke, she's going out with a 30-year-old that has a Beamer and she's 18 as well. It's not like the other races where they're like, you know, Juan and Monica are like, they're actually two good friends of mine, Juan and Monica. They built their wealth up together, you know? And I'm not saying that that's the way that every couple should approach things, but I'm definitely saying that there is something to that. Whereas, you know, a 60-year-old man is looking for, you know, a 23-year-old woman. That's cool too.
Okay, well, let me find out here. So you've dealt with non-Black women?
Yes.
Okay, and you felt a different experience there?
Totally.
And you appreciated that experience?
As a man, not even as a Black man, just as a man, it felt good to be respected. And, you know, yeah, it felt good.
So non-Black women were treating you with the level of respect you felt like you should receive.
They were treating me with the level of respect that they would treat any other man that they were with.
Okay. And so basically you're saying the relationships with them went better.
Yes, because I've only had about 2 or 3 relationships with Black women.
Okay. How many relationships with non-Black women have you had?
About like serious relationships, probably about 7 or 8. And mind you, I'm turning 47.
Okay, that's first, 7 or 8. Got it. With Black women, 3 or 4. With non-Black women, about twice that number. Plus, what about non-serious relationships? How many were those?
Oh God. With Black women, it's still at 3 or 4.
I'm talking about with non-Black women.
Oh, with non-Black women, fucking, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cuss.
No, knock yourself out. There's no censors here.
Probably about 30.
Okay.
30,
So
35.
with non-Black women, you've had about 37, 38 women that you've dealt with in that manner, or that you've been with or been involved with.
Yes.
Okay. And now you're saying that at this point here, just until recently, you started exploring options with Black women again.
Yes.
Okay.
I believe it's only because they've hit the wall.
But I guess I have two questions. I'll come back to that wall thing here in a moment. I have two questions here. By the way, if these other women were so great, how did we go through 36 of them and not a one of them worked out?
Oh, because we were just, it was college, it was, just the hookup.
But you said you weren't dealing with Black women until recently, and you're 40-something years old now, so that was well past college.
Yes.
Okay, so you've met a number of women since then, and it didn't work. Becky has had multiple tries at the bat, and she's not working out either, obviously. So I'm just trying to figure out what went wrong there, because it doesn't seem like your batting average is going that great over there. You might be saying, "Well, I enjoy the environment more." He enjoyed it so much he couldn't stay. So I'm just curious, what broke down over there?
Nothing broke down.
Then why are you not still with one of the 36?
It was summer flings. It was,
not all of, according to you, there were 7 or 8 that were not flings. So of the 7, twice as many of those were Black women. So you had twice as many opportunities with non-Black women than Black women. What happened with the 7 or 8?
Twice as many of those were not Black women.
Correct. That's what I just said, sir. Your numbers of non-Black women were twice as many as Black women, and it didn't work out with them either.
Right.
For the serious relationships, what happened? If the issue is Black women, I got it. So why is it the women who gave you the respect you felt you should have, why is it they didn't work out either?
No, I'm saying that the women that gave me the respect that I have earned a relationship with me. The ones that were just frivolous and, hey, I'll hook up with you and, we'll call it a vacation, or we'll call it a summer fling or whatever. I was down for that.
Okay, but I'm talking about the ones that were not, sir. I'll try this another time here. The ones that you claim were not were, by your own words, 7 or 8. And it's actually a little bit more from what you said. So the 7 or 8 that were not flings, those didn't work out either, despite the increase in alleged respectability. What happened with those?
To be honest with you, I've had I have 2 kids.
Strike one.
One from a Japanese mother.
Strike 2.
One from a white girl.
You're out.
3. But those relationships lasted probably 20 years, 10 apiece.
Did you marry either of these women?
I did not marry the Japanese woman. After 10 years of being together, I was in the process of, I didn't really have a dad growing up. So I was really good friends with her dad. He's a cop. And I was in the process of asking him, how do you propose to a woman, all this.
Okay, but you were with her for 10 years and
yes.
You got her pregnant, but she gave you the respect that you're supposed to get, that Asian infamous respectability, and that wasn't worth anything.
No, she was Asian American.
Okay,
so but let's get it straight.
Well, that makes a difference too, sir.
Yeah.
But the bottom line, that makes a difference. It's still not the same, but it didn't get her anything extra either.
I would say that she got pretty much all that I had to offer.
What did you have? Okay, let me find out here. Greg, I'm just going to ask this to you straight. What was the difference between your relationship with her, with the Asian American chick, and Pookie's relationship with Bushika? What was the difference? When you take a look at the outcome and the final result, after 10 years, she's got a bastard kid with a Rolling Stone. So what was the difference between your relationship with that Asian American chick and Pookie with Bushika?
I think the timing was different. I think the level of respect was extremely different. I didn't have to come home to
No. Okay. Oh, you got it. Oh, I'm
shit-talking.
sorry. You got it wrong. No, sir. I'm asking what was the difference in the outcome for her?
Oh, okay. The difference in the outcome for her, based on Pookie and Bushika, was that she walked away pretty fucking healthy. A Bushika is gonna walk away and just not look back. She's gonna get a divorce from a man or whatever. She's gonna be living in Section 8, all that shit. Like this chick is not in Section 8 by any means.
Okay, but is she not in Section 8 because of you?
Yes.
How do you figure that?
Well, I live in Texas, and Texas has what's called common law. And you don't even have to be married to a woman. All you have to do is share bills and live with them for 6 months.
Okay.
And
How old
they
is
can get a divorce.
how old is your child with her?
He's 15 now.
Okay. So are you saying that you are paying for their bills and their rent where they are for the last 15 years?
No, he's living with me now.
Okay, so let me try this again, sir. So you're talking about she's now on Section 8, sir, but it's not because of you.
It's definitely because of me. It's not because of her family.
But you haven't said what you did for her.
I just did say what I did.
No,
for
sir.
her.
You just talked about common law. You haven't said anything about what you've done. Well, I didn't get a divorce decree. Got it. You haven't said what you've done.
I gave her for every year that we were together, $2,500 for every year that we were together.
You were together for 10 years.
So every month I had to pay $2,500 plus child support. And we all know that child support does not really support the child.
Slow down. You had to pay $2,500 a month or a year, sir?
A month.
Okay, and you had to pay that for 10 months.
Yes, and on top of child support.
Okay, well, child support, you signed up for that game when she got pregnant, but as far as the other thing there, you paid $25,000.
Yes, Texas has what's called temporary.
Okay, sir. Alimony. Yeah, sir. $25,000. So, yes. What age was she when you met her?
She was about, I don't know, I want to say around 30, maybe 32.
Okay, so she was about 30, 32 years old. So you met her post-prime there, and you say you were with her for 10 years?
Yes.
Okay, so she gave you the end of her prime years.
Yeah.
Did she have any children already?
Yes, she had one daughter that I had absolutely. I mean, I fell for the fucking game, dude. Like I fell in love with her daughter.
Okay. That's great to hear. So you got with an Asian single mom.
Yes.
Okay, and then you signed
with
up
baby daddy issues.
Then Asian single mom who already got a Pookie already. You signed up to be Ray Ray, and I'm just telling you. And the problem with black women is what again?
I mean, the problem with black women started out way years ago.
Okay, like, it doesn't sound like these other, okay, but it doesn't sound like these other women are very much different in that regard. So I just asked you what the improvement is. Well, they respect me more, and the outcome was different. How? It was exactly the same.
The outcome was the same. It's the time spent. It's the years.
So you're saying
like
that
hold on.
You're talking about the journey was more enjoyable than the result. Even though the result was the same, the journey was more enjoyable.
I mean, yes, it was. The journey was more enjoyable. We had our ups and downs, whereas with a black woman, I was shunned from the get-go.
Okay, let me explain to you all
from a 15-year-old.
Let me go ahead and explain to you all the logic here. What he just said was that it would be preferable to get on a party bus loaded up with strippers and every type of thing you can have, alcohol, everything's great. And we're on the bus it's a 5-year tour on the bus. It's great. It's lovely. And the bus drops you off in the middle of the desert in Arizona.
That's not what I
did. And it throws you out with your stuff. So the journey was exquisite. Now the result, the outcome,
I didn't say the journey
sir,
was exquisite.
Greg, stifle yourself.
Did not say the journey.
No,
was
you
exquisite.
said that because the journey was more enjoyable. Then, sir, Greg, get a hold of yourself. We don't do that here.
Dog,
don't that.
Put words in my mouth.
I'm not putting words in your mouth, fella. I'm repeating your words. You just didn't think this over very much.
I didn't
Sir,
say those
you
words.
said the journey was more enjoyable. Yeah, so if you have a party bus that drops your ignorant ass off in the middle of the desert, the journey was great. The outcome, however, is the same disaster. And you said that was an upgrade. No, it isn't. You just didn't listen to yourself.
Oh, I listened to myself. I just told you the fucking honest truth.
Yes, and I'm glad you did. There wasn't very much to shade about that. The problem with black women is their attitudes and respectability. So he found an improvement, an Asian single mom with attitude and respectability issues. And now he's on the hook for it. And even if she didn't, even if she were a model citizen, all she got for her 10 years was you. Her life is no better improved. She's 10 years. She is 10 years, not because of you. Do you think that $25,000 caked her off? Is that what you think? That $25,000 caked her off?
And child support, like,
sir, the child lives with you. The child lives with you. Why didn't you go get full custody?
He does live with me.
Go get full custody.
Now, I do have full. Like, you're fucking beating around the bush,
sir. You said you were paying $500 a month in child support.
No, I did not. I said I was paying $2,500 a month for 10 months in alimony. I didn't even mention my child support.
Sir,
payments.
How much in child support in the state of Texas were you paying?
$1,200.
Sir, you think $1,200 a month in the state of Texas in the year 2022 has a woman set up lovely?
This wasn't the year 2022.
You said your child's 15 years old.
Exactly.
When did you get custody? I'm sorry, when did you start having the child domicile with you?
Probably about 5 years ago.
Okay, so in the year 2017, you think $1,200 a month was setting a woman up lovely in Texas, you jackass.
Wow. Am I?
Really? He thinks $1,200 a month in 2017 was cake you off money.
Oh, let me talk like this.
He literally thinks $1,700 a month was caking her off.
Are you serious?
What city did you have? What city were you scamming her in?
Scamming her?
Yes. What city were you simping for this woman in? What city?
I wasn't simping at all.
Okay, sir, I used to live in Texas. What city were you in?
I wasn't simping her at all.
Great. What city were you in?
I was in Dallas.
Okay, I used to live in Dallas. What part of Dallas?
Euless.
Euless, Texas?
You don't even know where that is.
You're trying to call Euless part of Dallas?
It's in Tarrant County. So, like, again, you don't even know where.
This guy's trying to call Euless part of. This guy's trying to call Euless part of Dallas. Irving, Richards. He's talking about the Metroplex. Thank you very much, sir.
Exactly.
Now, for myself, I was more of a Richardson, Addison, Plano dude myself. So no, I wasn't out there in the sticks where you were at.
It's not the sticks. It's right next to the airport.
It really is.
You were out there in the sticks,
sir. That whole area is only being developed now. Knock it off.
Plano. What are you talking about? Euless is voted the #1 city by the New York Times to live in the entire United States.
Sir,
Plano is not.
Folks, Google is not just your friend, it's a lifeline. This guy is telling you that in Euless, Texas, she was getting $1,200 a month in child support while taking care of a child, and that was caking her off lovely. That's what he's saying.
And okay.
Oh, so with her job, thank you.
Put it this way. Why did she drop the child support and let the kid live with me? It's because she dropped the child support. So very clear that child support didn't make one damn difference in her life, as what I said the whole time. It made a difference. She just thought that we were going to rekindle things. Nigga, you're talking like you're PJ Washington caking off Brittany Renner. I twisted it in a way to where I was like, we can see what happens. And then after she dropped the child support, she got dropped. Sir, you acting like brother, you acting like you want these NBA players paying for a beach house in Malibu for a chick. You were paying $1,200 a month to a struggle broad in Euless, Texas. But you're talking as if you was dropping major cake.
Yes, sir. I call that the truck note on my new SUV. That's what I call $1,200 a month.
Maybe I make $135,000 a year. I'm not a baller by any means. If you make more than that, fucking much props to you. But there's no reason to shit on my fucking status when
your status. What is
there's no reason.
What is your status, sir?
My status is what it is.
A single father of 2 kids.
Yes.
Complaining about what black women don't do.
Yes. That's my status.
And if the black women would act right, they could all have their crack at Greg too if they would just behave
themselves. If everybody would agree with you, then the world would be fucking a better place, right? Wrong.
I didn't say that, but what I am saying is that you're telling black women that you're the prize.
No, I'm not telling black women shit.
I'm glad to hear that. Because if they act proper and behave themselves, then they can have Greg.
No, they have a chance at having Greg, just like every other woman does.
Brittany, I'm sorry, Liz.
Brittany.
hurry, step right up. You can have your shot at.
Oh my God.
You can have your shot at
Greg. I'm good. You make it the same amount. I'm good.
And you can have your opportunity to live in beautiful rural Euless, Texas.
It's not rural.
You will have a $1,200 a month stipend, although we're going to cut that down because it's not what it used to be in 2017 anymore. And you'll have access to his upwardly mobile social status and his Xbox seat.
I didn't say
his Xbox recliner chair that Xbox recliner gaming recliner chair he's in.
I didn't say anything about social status. You're putting words where words don't belong.
I'm repeating his words, but he's saying
you're not repeating my words. I didn't say anything about a fucking Xbox chair.
Greg, I think this has been incredibly illuminating. I really do think it is. And for all the black women out there who were spitting on him and faking on his shine all these decades, nanny boo boo, all of y'all missed out. You didn't get your shot to be the first or second baby mama. You didn't get your shot to get that $1,200 for a few years in Euless, Texas. And so too bad, so sad, you missed out. So all the black women out there, if y'all had just behaved yourselves and acted worth a damn, you could have had Greg too. Tough beans on y'all.
Hey, it is what it is.
You know what, Greg? I think that is a brilliant note to close that out on. That's not a good one. I think that's brilliant. Thank you very much for checking in with us here tonight. I think that's a great note to end that out on. That really, really is. There used to be an old PSA. You can learn a lot from a dummy. What I will say is, there's the other side of the equation to anybody who thinks that Jason wants to beat up on women or whatever. By the way, no, I am equal opportunity. I am the only straight down the middle person you're ever going to find. And if I hear something that I know is not correct, I'll stand by you if you're the right candidate. But if I know what I'm hearing is not right, okay, let me go ahead and stop that. So yeah, it's real easy to say that kind of thing. For anybody who doesn't know, like I say, anybody who lives in Dallas, you know what I'm talking about as far as that regard. Euless is not Plano by any stretch of the imagination. When they get finished building all that out, who knows? It'll probably be very, very nice when they get done. But we ain't there yet. However, in his case, I'm very glad to hear that if the black women were not so screwed up, they could have won their opportunity to be baby mama number 1, or he is alleging he doesn't know whether he wants to be common law or actually married, baby mama number 2. And if y'all would just act right, you could have had your shot too. So Liz, I'm so sorry you missed out, ma'am.
No, I'm good on that one. Thank you, though. Thank you.
You got to hold this L, Liz. You got to hold this L. So it's just, maybe you missing out on all this.
I think I'm doing okay without Greg.
Andre, I know you think I was taking it easy on you up until this point. You showed up at just the right time here. Well, Greg was Exhibit A. And just after we start talking about we're not being properly respected, here comes Greg, seemingly on cue, to sit up here and say, by the way, let me give y'all something more to be disrespected about, because you don't have enough already. So we're going to go ahead and take this head on. We're not going to block anything. This is reality radio. We take it as it comes in. So Greg just weighed in. Andre, does he have it right? Do I have it wrong? Don't be afraid to say, Jason, you're wrong on this one. I agree with you, but you got it wrong, Jason. He had some points. Andre, the case is yours, counselor.
I'm embarrassed to even be on the line with him. That was crazy. That was insane. I don't know what he was on. Allegedly, I don't know what he was on. That was, as you said it perfectly. Hey, you just basically reloaded the magazine for us to get disrespected even more.
That was hard to listen to.
I mean, black women are doing so horrendous that he did so much better and created 2 more, single moms. Honestly, as Liz said, or in some of the chats said, he actually did black women a favor. So you know what? Actually, maybe I got to say you're wrong, Jason. He was right. I'd rather him just go over there and do something else over there than we can't have him on the team. We can't have him around black women. We can't. We can't have those types of cancers. That was insane.
The situation's already bad enough. And that's the real point I wanted to make is that, by the way, the situation's already bad enough. It's already daunting enough. And guys like him who are, in reality, he's dealing with immaturity issues. Okay, let me go ahead and go off on him for a moment. Greg, you could have stuck around with it. Don't worry about it. When I see men in their 40s trying to be sporty, I see men in their 40s with sports chair recliners. When I see men in their 40s with Audi posters and Porsche posters, and Andre, you're only 29, but I'm just telling you right now, that's not a good sign, okay? That's not a good sign when you're in your 40s and you got this sporty stuff. When I hear a man in his 40s talking about a 2-seater or 2-seater vehicles, and that's all. Let's go ahead. Your Ferrari needs to be parked next to your Expedition, dude. That's what needs to happen. Your Ferrari needs to be parked next to the Expedition. If it ain't that kind of way, something's wrong here. When you're in your 40s and you got kids and you are still trying to exude this sporty life, that tells me that you have rejected the prospect of maturing. You stopped at about 15, 16, and now you're just kind of coasting. You're getting older, but you're not maturing anymore. And so when I took a look, and Greg's called in before, and he's welcome to call back anytime, just not tonight. But he's welcome to call back anytime. But I have to make that observation. And by the way, you all didn't see this. Before I turned the camera on for him, he actually had adjusted his camera to shoot up. So if it looked like his face was really down, he had actually had himself cropped the way you two are. He adjusted the camera so that it would show the images behind him. So he actually had to point it more down. He pointed it up. Ostensibly, I suppose, to show the Audi flags and things behind him, so that you all feel like, well, he's really balling, it's really great and everything. Here's my only issue about that. He got 2 kids. He claims he's got custody of 1. He's had 2 women who one gave him the half into her prime years, if you want to call it that, because you're talking about, well, they're hitting the wall. Well, what did she do? He was steering the bus when she hit the wall. He was driving the van when she hit the wall. Then you have another female. And I'm just saying, if he wants to talk about lack of respect, my first question here is, what did you give them to respect? What did you do? Well, she was a single mom, already had a kid. Okay, how invested was he? Clearly not. And clearly at this point right now, well, I gave 25 G's allegedly and gave child support. Well, yeah, he's not interested in taking care of them. Bring me the kid when they're almost grown. Go ahead and do that. Bring me the kid when they're 15. Let me take care of the last 36 months. Now, Liz, as a single mom yourself, you understand the math of that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Let him, I get, fellas, I got to put this on us. I won't say, I say us advisedly. Here, she can take care of the kid for the first 10, 12, 13, 14 years. All the diapers, the baby in the Pampers, the shots of the doctor, the car seats, all the unglamorous stuff. She can do that. When the kid is old enough basically to take care of himself at this point, now it's minimal labor. All right, bring him on over here. I don't even need to take care of his manhood training. Bring him on over here when he's got basically, after you finish the job, bring him over here so, we can go ahead and coast along. And what I'm saying is, how much of a father image do you think that's going to instill in a boy at that point? Now it's like, okay, well, I got him full time now. Okay, yeah, now that all the heavy lifting's done.
Right.
Yeah, we sure do.
Yeah. No, I don't really think that's equal or fair. I think that we kind of talked about this a couple of episodes back. Like, if you really want to be the man and show your son how to be a man, then the boy needs to start living with him at like what, 8, 9 years old, like just pre puberty, right? Or right at puberty, I think is minimum. Like at that age, like you said, Jason, he's already pretty much grown up. And in my opinion, those are kind of like the easy years, like, yeah, there are a different set of challenges that come with adolescence, but at this point, come and go as you please. The kid can stay at home, probably can at least fend for himself, cook for himself, get himself from A to B, if not in his own vehicle, maybe on public transportation. At least he can walk, to and from school, those kind of things. And so I don't really think
from the time they're infants and whatnot to elementary school to really the middle school, the kids need constant attention. They're going to need constant attention for at least the first 5 or 6 years. You got to keep them from sticking knives in electrical sockets, okay? I mean, that's the kind of thing that requires there. So what I'm saying is, okay, if you want to get your props on that, that's perfectly fine. I'm just doing the math on it. And in the process of doing the math, I'm seeing how that works out. So, yeah, that's going to – my whole point with keeping him on the line was to say, by the way, how much criticism are you going to give the black women? And this is what the non-black women got from you. And you dealt with 3 times, by your own admission, or at least your own claim, you dealt with 3 times as many of them. 3 times as many. So I'm like, okay, well, if your attitude is straight and everything, I want to see what the outcome was for them. It wasn't any better than it would have been over here. It wasn't any better. And yet you got complaints. I'm just thinking myself that, and you saw right out of the gate. I'm like, okay, what's the difference between this and Pookie and Bushika? What's the difference?
He wasn't.
While you're claiming that the problem is if they are just respecting me.
Ways they weren't better and he wasn't better either.
Yeah, I mean, think about that for a few moments. He went all the way to the Asian side of town to get a baby mama, to pick up a single mom. He could stay where he was. He was in South Central. Dude, you could stay in South Central where you were. You could save the bus fare. There was I'm just saying he went all the way over there to get a single mom with baby daddy issues by his own admission and all. Okay, well, dude, how is that better? Well, the journey was better. Now, he didn't want to have to fess up to that either. Because a lot of these dudes, let me tell you right now, a lot of you fellas out there, you all grossly misunderstand what I do here and who I am, because you have been weaned on a steady diet of the internet's fakers, frauds, and failures. That red pill, black manosphere, the winosphere crap, there's a reason I don't deal with that. Because it nurtures and coddles dudes like Greg. It makes them feel comfortable with what they're doing or what they've done. So now they're forming a great big community of underachievers and failures. Dude, you're in your 40s now. What benefit are you going to be to a chick like that? Not only that, you still got 2 kids to take care of. So you're basically sidelined until you're in your 50s. You're basically sidelined to your 50s. Women are not dumb. You're not going to get prime real estate. Furthermore, he ain't making enough money to be able to do that. And he's got too many obligations to be able to do that. And he's not in the place to be doing that. So what they do is they sit in their own little circles and tell themselves how great they're doing. And that's the problem. If they had an opportunity to be objective about it, they recognize that's not really balling as great as they think they are. Or at least as great as they tell themselves. Better yet, you can have that. However, this does bring another thing into focus here. I got to say this too. A lot of fellas out there want to be respected for things they haven't done. A lot of fellas out there want to be valued for things they haven't done. Fellas, I'm going to say this straight. If you were listening to Greg when he started talking, you would think that he was like Andre. And what he was doing was putting on Andre's camouflage is what he was doing. Don't worry, I was the little articulate talking kid in elementary school. I was square. The chicks didn't really dig me like that because of that. And they were looking for a bad boy thug. Okay, got it. But then you take a look at his behavior right out of the gate. When he actually did have an opportunity to pick and choose, take a look at what he chose. That's not a guy who's living this life. The other thing is a lot of y'all are trying to wait until you're in your 40s and damn 50s to get your act together. You're trying to wait until you're in your 40s, 50s, or later to become a complete man. And that's not going to work. You can't become a complete man in your 40s and 50s. You've wasted 2 decades by that time. And usually what's happening is you're still holding on to a lot of vestiges of failure you had before. So what you get in his case is a 42, 43, or 41 or 42-year-old dude who's still coming out of his teen years. And just like children tend to infantilize single mothers, having teenagers around a man who's still trying to be sporty, does that make him mature? Or does he think he's found a peer? Andre, am I mischaracterizing that? There's 2 men here. Maybe I'm mischaracterizing that. Maybe the teenager with him is going to make him mature better.
No, I see it the same way as you've mentioned before about, single moms who get pregnant early. It stunts their growth. And his growth has been stunted. Oh, I mean, you know where I work, but we interviewed someone who was, a 22-year-old kid last year when I was working at one of the direct competitors. They had that exact same, poster, a Mercedes thing. And as soon as I saw it, I already had a feeling. I said, oh, something's off with this guy. In terms of I just knew it from the beginning. And I could sense that, as you mentioned, he was speaking firstly. So he tried to say, oh, well, he's like Andre, this and this. And then I started noticing, I said, oh, no. He's talking about whatever happened with him and Black women. He's not just saying this as this is a past thing that occurred. It's like I can feel the current emotional strain he still has. And I mean, I have no reason to believe he's lying, but let's just say he does make the 135. As you said, once you make a certain amount of money, you can choose the women you want. At that point, you're intentionally choosing what you want. So once he said he said, oh, well, all the Black women, they hated nerds and they hated, men who wore their pants at their waist level and all this other just hoopla. I already knew. I said, oh yeah, we're dealing with the Sambo. It's all good. I just basically kind of checked out. But like you say, yeah, he's going to be, I guess, 17 and a half the rest of his life, which is, it's unfortunate just from man to man, but hey, Jason, for guys like you and I mean, hey, he is a threat for different reasons, but he makes the competition easier.
Well, yeah, that certainly does, thin out the herd in a lot of regards, but it's a problem as well too, because he's wearing our uniform and he's messing up the real estate. He's wearing our uniform, which basically makes him our de facto representative. He grew up in South Central, allegedly. Dude, there was a reason why fellas on the block was G-checking. If you're going to be walking down the street and whatnot, it's like, wait, we need to know who's legit and who isn't. That's part of survival instinct. And what dudes were letting you know is, you ain't legit. We don't feel that. Now he's a grown man and he doesn't see the value of that. He doesn't see the value of having legitimacy. So he comes up and he wants to get what we've got, but he doesn't want to do what we have to do. Because we don't move like that. We don't move like that. We don't move like saying, okay, let's be honest. His real issue is what he was saying is that they weren't doing what he wanted them to do. They weren't tolerating what he wanted them to tolerate. They won't go ahead and go along with that. So then they say, well, fine, I'll go find me a non-Black female who will. Great. And how good did that work out for them? They went for the bait. And how did it work out for them? Are they knocking anybody over to trade places with you? And that's not what's occurring. But I'm very glad that he went ahead and called in and said that, because that gives us a good idea. Fellas, if you want to know what one of the headwinds is, I have no problem confronting these things honestly. That's a headwind. That's a headwind. For every Andre out there, there's a Greg driving by his 2006 BMW M5, trying to give an impression.
Well, that's probably where his value is now, right? Is like with his car and what he can show people that he has. And, a lot of people, they invest more in their car than they invest in their home because they figure everyone sees the car, you drive it around everywhere. So strangers and everyone sees that. Of course, everyone doesn't see your home, right? Everyone's not invited to your home. So I think it's just a little bit of immaturity, like you said, Jason. It's the value is on the wrong things. The emphasis is on the wrong things. And he probably feels like he needs that car to get respect.
I would say also that, and Jason, correct me if I'm wrong, because we're both in the South, but I would say he's also bringing that California mindset where I've noticed, I lived out there for a bit. In California, your status is your car. In the South, our status is our house and how much property we have. So he's just mix matching basically everything. And he says he's dating women who hit the wall, but what I see are two equal forces meeting each other where they're at. I don't think he could get the Asian or white or black, whatever women he wants anymore. I don't think he could get them now. So I think he's basically forced back into, dare I say, submitting to whatever options he does have now.
Well, let's try this a different way here, because this is a dynamic that really gets missing a lot of the time. And it's really a problem with single motherhood. If you have a young male, a male is worthless without leadership. If he's not cultivating leadership abilities, he's useless. He's useless. A woman doesn't need a male companion. She doesn't just need a fellow to hang out with. She needs a fellow who actually is leading. That's the real question, is whether or not they're leading. What are you doing with that? Or is he just hanging around? And that's the part I'm taking a look at there is, okay, dude, what are you doing in that regard? Where's the leadership? Where are you taking her to? Baby, we didn't reach the destination. You already got one kid. Don't worry. Think about that for a moment. That she could tell him in advance, what are you going to have? Your credit's going to be messed up. You're going to be in Euless, Texas with another kid. Think about that for a few moments. If he could tell her in advance what she could look forward to. Baby, in 10 years, your credit going to be upside down. You're going to have two baby daddies, not one. You're going to be in Euless, Texas, and you're going to be driving the same beater you were. If you could give him a crystal ball,
there's no
to sign up for this deal.
No, especially not 10 years without commitment. I was like, what? That's a long time to spend with someone and not make a commitment. It's like, correct me if I'm wrong, but men know pretty soon if you're someone that they want to spend the rest of their life with or commit to in that manner, like marriage. Like, I would even say 3 years is too long, but 10 years, that's a really long time.
What it really shows you is that she didn't learn anything from baby daddy number one. That's the real issue. She didn't learn anything from that. And that was what he felt he could do. And it'd be different if he had a female that was on the rise and whatnot, but that wasn't the situation either. So there's lessons to learn from that. Let me see here. I got Daniel on here. I'm trying to make sure you have your audio turned on, Daniel.
Yeah, you get me?
Yeah, what's on your mind, brother?
From what I heard from that last dude, that last older dude, that was funny as hell. Well, it's not funny, but he just made himself sound stupid. But so I want to answer the question. What does a black man? Where's a black man's value at? I think the only simple answer to that is what he could produce. So, character, so to keep it simple like that. That's all. That's the only answer I got today.
Well, there's a reason why we do that. And fellas nobody likes keeping score and counting money until it's time to actually add up tangible results. There's a reason why we measure a woman's looks and factor that into her value. You know why? Because it's a tangible. We can actually see it. It's something we can actually see and measure. It's something that we can actually take a look at and evaluate. We can quantify it. We can measure that. Yes, we can get the makeup and the fake lashes off of you, and we can measure that. So that's why we value that. Well, guess what? With a man's productivity, we can measure that too. We sure can. And when he sits up here and shows you his house and his car, and that's great, and it's like you got 2 kids, where they live at. I don't know. You know what, Liz? Let me ask you that question there, because as a woman out here on the dating scene herself, if you meet a guy who's a single father or whatever, well, let me just say, when that comes up, what questions do you ask?
I absolutely ask, where they live, if their kids live with them, how often do they see their kids? What is the relationship like with the baby mom? Are they in a good place? Are they in a bad place? How did it end? Not all this on the first date, but most of those kinds of the logistic questions I do ask like on the first date regarding like, where do the kids live? How often do you see them? All of that kind of stuff. And then as we get to know each other, I want to know even more like, well, what's the relationship like between you and her? I might ask a little bit around like how they met, maybe not those words specifically, but just try to get an understanding of like, what's the dynamic, in that relationship. Because like it could be different, right? If it's like a childhood sweetheart or somebody you kind of got with at a young age, that might be different than versus like a Greg, right? Where it's like, oh yeah, my baby mama got another kid, had the kid before I got into the picture. I'm also taking care of that kid, like guys say all kinds of things. Not saying things wrong with that, but those are the kinds of things that I definitely would inquire about. Like,
well, let me ask you this, Liz. How would you feel about a fellow who had 2 kids by 2 different women?
For me, it's a red flag. But I would just say that it depends on the relationship, right? Now, if he were to say that he was maybe he had the first kid in high school, right, or young, and then the second kid, he was married to the girl, right? Then that's a little different, right? Because I could see that, okay, you do have the wherewithal to commit. You do understand that, it's not just about just creating families out here and leaving them high and dry and that kind of thing. So like there are certain circumstances where I might overlook it, but off the break, I that's a red flag for me. But again, if there was a commitment, if there was, I had my kids young, maybe he had his first child young, and then, the next child came along through a serious committed relationship, a marriage or something like that, then that's a little bit more understandable.
Daniel, I'll let you have the last word.
Like that dude, it's a lot of dudes like that, especially on these YouTube spaces. Like, man, Jason, that shit ridiculous. Like,
yeah.
And they just don't know how to talk to women, especially black women. You just gotta, you gotta have some character. Like I ain't got all the money in the world, but trust me, and I'm a whole paraplegic, paralyzed from the chest down. I still approach women every day out and about. You just got to know how to talk to women, though. Dudes like that don't know how to talk to black women, or they ain't got no respect on the streets. So I used to live that lifestyle until I became a paraplegic. But you just have to know how to talk to women. That'd be the first thing first. Then everything else come with it, because the money I think you said it before that money is supposed to what you already are anyway. So it's a lot of cornball niggas out here with some paper.
Yeah, money is power, and power just makes you more of what you already are. So if you think that money is going to paper over your inadequacies, it won't. Money is a requisite of being an alpha, but money alone doesn't make you an alpha. You can't just think, well, let me get my paper right, and now I'm an alpha. I can buy this car, this house, these shoes. Now I'm an alpha. No, it's a requisite, but it's not a sole ingredient. Being an alpha is like peanut butter, not peanuts. You got a peanut. Well, I got the peanuts. I'm an alpha. No. You got to have peanut butter. You got to have, it takes more things to be that. An alpha is a balance of things. A lot of guys out here are looking for a cheat code. They're looking for an easy way. And as I said, the black man got to work 4 times as hard as anybody else to make the same dollar. Got it. but don't think that's going to be the easy way. If I can get my money straight, just tell me where the door is and I'll work away at that. No, dude, it takes work to do this. It takes work to do this. By the way, Daniel, are you my dude up in Chicago?
Yeah, I'm from Chicago.
Okay.
I'll talk to you. You know what?
I know who you are, nigga. Anyway, that's my dude Daniel from Chicago. Okay, I finally got to see him. What's up with you, bro?
Not much, man. Working on being independent in the wheelchair, man, and get back out there in the world so I could get my shit all the way together.
Like I say, Daniel been dodging bullets and everything else up there. But bro, it's good to see you, man. I appreciate you checking in with me. Thank you very much for giving us a call here tonight. That's my dude Daniel up there. I've never seen Daniel before, so I get around, but I had never seen Daniel before. Let me go ahead and take a few phone calls. Maybe I should have a brief prayer visual before we do that, because I got a feeling as soon as you open this up, it'll be some more for that. But let me go ahead and get that. Let me get caller from area code 240. You're on live with The Business. What's your name? Where you calling from?
This your man DJ GPS out of Washington, D.C., man. Mr. Black, okay, first of all, I'm older than everybody on that panel, including yourself, okay? Now, I didn't love my first wife. We wasn't head over heels. I was young. I was 21. I got married because I did not want to have no children out of wedlock. What happened to that, bro? That's number one. Number two, Shorty up here, that's going to be another show. But number two is, why do these women think the dollar in your pocket it makes you a man? What about if you flying in that lead jet with Mr. Baller and that junk crash and you survive? Can he make a fire? Can he go hunt some wood? Can he go hunt? Can he take care of you? Can you survive? And as a woman, what can you bring to the table? Can you skin an animal? Can you help me drag this carcass back to the campsite? Can you whip this up? I mean, just basically surviving.
I
look
think
at our people back in slavery.
Let me go ahead and deal with that, DJ, because what you just said are wonderful accolades and wonderful characteristics in the abstract. The reason that we have civilization in cities today is specifically to remove exactly those types of threats you're talking about. So for better or worse, 99.99999% of the population will never, what you're giving is a scenario that existed 140 years ago. That was common before the Industrial Revolution. So the Industrial Revolution made our lives easier, but by extension, for better or worse, in many ways it is worse. It eliminated exactly those kind of things. So you have a fraction of the male population that can skin things, can repair Lear jets, can make fires out of brushwood. But then again, you got the majority of the population saying, why in the world would I ever be out there in the first place? So the guys who do that free up room and capacity for the fellows who are the stockbrokers, the air conditioner repairmen. You know, they free up the space for that. So while what you're saying is absolutely accurate and great in the abstract, the reason that women don't count it is because in our modern society, we've built a civilization that avoids situations just like that. This whole society is built specifically to avoid that. Your Lear jet isn't going to break down in the forest. Maybe your Volkswagen will break down on Interstate 35, but not your Lear jet in the forest. So if you want to know why women don't count that, that's why they don't count it.
Okay. I got you. I feel you on that one. So my thing is also, I haven't given up on black women. Black women giving up on me. Now, I'm a light-skinned brother, okay? And I used to love me some chocolate.
The struggle been real for y'all since '89, so I understand, bro. But
exactly. So when it got to the point where the chocolate sisters used to tell me, "Oh, I don't mess with red niggas." What? Oh, dude, really? That's how we going,
bro. I mean, it's the struggle been real. Back in the early 70s and early 80s, the light skinned dudes was running things. The late 80s hit, gangster rap comes in, West Coast rise to prominence, and then next thing you know, it's out. Shmar Moore, you out. Morris Chestnut, you in. Stephen Curry, you sideline. LeBron James up front. I mean, it is. So I feel your pain, brother. I do feel your pain. Drake is not doing y'all any favors. Drake is doing you no favors, by the way.
Now that guy that haven't got his childhood out of the system yet, the earlier dude, okay, he has a problem, okay? Now, first of all, if you're 40 years old and you're raising your 15-year-old son, guess what the last thing I'm thinking about? a relationship with a woman. I'm thinking about taking care of my little man and getting him ready for the world and showing him this is what he needs to do. I'm not gonna be having no woman around. I was like that with my daughters when I had to raise them by myself. I ain't bringing no whole bunch of women around my daughters. I'm not bringing nobody around my daughters. And as him being a man, one thing he should be worried about is where am I guiding my son and what career is he going at 15 years old. The last thing he needs to be worried about is dating. He needs to trade in that little sports car and get him a pickup truck and take his little man camping. Fishing, stuff you're supposed to do, man. Like, man, I'm gonna land my plane, Mr. Black. Let the next caller come on in.
Thank you very much for giving us a call tonight. We appreciate that very much here. And oh yeah, by the way, let me go ahead and deal with this before anybody even tries to say something like that in that regard. When I was talking about the truck payment here earlier, yeah, that is a very real thing here. I didn't get that for me. That was the company car. So I actually got that because of the female I was with. So I actually got that for her benefit and for her use. So that wasn't something I'm not sitting up here trying to ball out or anything like that. I'm just saying that, by the way, I did that as a way of enhancing her life. Any female who is with me, things are going to get better right off the rip. If I've deemed that you're worthy to be in that position, it's not going to be some 10-year journey.
Right.
Fellas, now Liz is figuring this out in her early 30s, but if a fella done took you on a 10-year trip and the block looks the same, at some point you're supposed to be saying, okay, if your spider senses are going off, okay, it seems like we're just circling this block now for a while. Do you actually know where you're going? And if you're smart, you'll ask that a little bit earlier. A lot of fellas out here want to get incompetence overlooked. And you don't realize it's not hard to figure out if you're competent. Men can figure out if you're competent. Women can see if you're competent. We both might want different things from you, but competence is something that's obvious. Andre, I want to talk about that for a moment here, and then I'm going to take another couple of phone calls. When we talk about masculine competence, I think a lot of fellas out here think that they can jive talk their way into getting people, particularly females, to overlook it, to disregard it. That he can just sit there and, don't worry, baby, this record deal is coming. I'm going to get this pickle stand going here in a minute. You know, it goes year after year with that. So do you think that competence is something we can see early on?
Absolutely. And I'm of the viewpoint women can see it too. It's just a decision of whether they're going to accept it or not, or like you said, they're just going to believe, overlook, fill in the blank. I'll just say illusions that he's painting. But like you said, you're going to learn very fast. You're going to know. Like, I don't need to know your bank account or how much you make or what you do. I can tell, not necessarily, you don't need to have a Mercedes, but I can tell by the condition of your car. I can tell relatively by maybe some of your hobbies. I can tell, like, what is this there's just certain ways and things a person lives their life where you can tell, oh, this is, at least for me, I could tell, oh, this guy's one of my kind, or he's one of my peers, as you like to say.
Well, how you do one thing is how you do all things. And when we start seeing parts of your life that are a mismatch, dudes don't like it when we start doing the math on it. But your life isn't supposed to be some big ass mismatch. There's supposed to be a standard or some organization to it that you can take a look at and say, okay, this belongs here. That's the kind of thing we should be able to do. We should be able to take a look at it and say, okay, this belongs. This is supposed to be here. And when you have a situation where you got stuff jumbled all over the place, he's going through 2 periods of his life. This is supposed to be those here. Are the things you're supposed to be taking a look at. That's what's problematic when that occurs. Let me go ahead here and see if we can take another phone call. And then I'm going to get to my Zoom caller here. So you need to turn your you need to turn your video on Zoom there, by the way. You won't get on without it. Let me get caller from area code 561. You're on live with The Business. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hi, Jason Black. This is Chance Neaton Schreiner from Loxahatchee, Florida, calling by way of Lexington, Virginia. A real man is someone who's emotionally, mentally stable, physically fit. He can defend himself and his woman. And he's always striving, like, to better himself, like to be better than last year or last month. That's my opinion. And
That's a very
I
good
messaged
summation
you on
of it. Thank you very much for giving us a call here tonight. Don't know what happened, my man, on Zoom, but you're taking too long. Let me get caller Mary code 404. You're on live with The Business. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hey, yes, sir. It's your boy Will from Stone Mountain, Georgia.
Will from Stone Mountain. What's on your mind?
I think the problem is that it's a huge disconnect between like the top 20% of black people and the bottom 80%, because I make six figures. And when I meet women like a bad broad, I don't really have any issues with them. When I meet like a woman who's like just a size 14 or something like that, they give me issues more than anything. And it's a certain way that people carry themselves. Like when they're over that threshold, like we interact a certain way. We're not having trivial conversations. You know, we about our business. We meet up. Like if I communicate with a woman what I want, what she wants, if it doesn't line up, there's no issue. Like, all right, cool, we go about our business. But I feel like that bottom 20%, everybody trying to run game, everybody trying to perpetrate something or not. And like even the dude who called on Zoom earlier with the little gaming seat, and he was like 50 years old or something like that. Like people like that, that's where the problems come in at. Because like the brother who's on Zoom right now said, we don't have those problems really when we move a certain way and when we like have a certain amount of income, not just money, just how you move, period. Like if you're on that top 20%, I think it's just a huge disconnect. But the bottom 80% is representing everybody. That's the problem, because they never show anything that.
Well, I mean, think about that for a few moments, though.
What we're doing
by mathematical requirement, 80% is going to represent everybody. Hell, that's not even the majority.
That's the problem.
That's not even the majority. That's a gross plurality. I mean, if you got 80% of the people moving one kind of way, yeah, that, like it or not, that 20%, that 80% is your representative. That 80% is your representative. Yeah. Even if the 80% aspires to be like you, the bottom line is in daily reality, if there isn't some clear distinction between you, that 80% represents you. Thank you very much for giving us a call here tonight, brother. We appreciate that. And fellas, you got to accept that too. That's why the first thing I said was, okay, let me ask him some questions about that. Let me get called from area code 434. You're on live with The Business. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hello, my name is Jay Higgs, and I'm calling out of Raleigh, North Carolina.
Okay, you're fighting with your phone. Try your name again.
Jay Higgs, calling out of Raleigh, North Carolina.
All right, Jay out of Raleigh, what's on your mind?
I just want to say thank you for this broadcast and having everybody on. And I got to say from personal experience, from what I went through, adolescence, I was in special ed because I had a learning disability. Fast forward years later, I'm now working in the aerospace engineering field, and I gotta say it was a hell of an uphill battle I went through. And you ain't lying, I ain't done yet, and I still got a chip on my shoulder from everything.
Well, the thing is, like I say, when you go into the school system, and if people are just assuming that they're the experts about this, and if they say this is where your child is educationally, your mother is probably going to be like, well, who am I to question them? These are the folks, they went to school, they got degrees, they do this for a living, they see thousands of children. So maybe they see something I don't see. Maybe they are picking up on something that I'm not picking up. Maybe that's the reason results are not happening and whatnot. And I can tell you from personal experience, going back decades, your black children are not treated the way that the white kids are in class. Your black children, white children are treated totally differently. I've been through that situation myself. I've seen it firsthand. I've experienced it, where that's the game that they will run is all the other kids in class. There's tricky ways of asking questions, for example. And for Liz and other folk who have kids, there's tricky ways that they ask questions. Like, for example, with the black children, the way in which you can have a classroom full of children and neglect the black children. Watch this, everybody. You have a classroom full of children. The teacher sits up there. They explain what the math problem is or whatever the case might be. They then turn around and say, does anyone have any questions? Now, we all know what's going to happen next. Well, very, very few are going to raise their hands. And if your kid doesn't understand, they're not going to raise theirs either. So what the teacher will then do is they'll be walking through the classroom while they're explaining. And little Becky, if she looks confused, the teacher will say, Becky, do you understand this? And then Becky will be like, well, not really. Now, did you see how that happened? Did you all see how that happened? So I want you to understand it reminds me of sales techniques that I was taught. It reminds me of sales techniques that I was taught. So that's how you can have a classroom full of children, completely neglect the black ones and teach the white ones, and nobody will be the wiser because they'll be trying to figure out, wait a minute, but they asked, did everyone have a problem? The teacher will, I asked if everyone understood. I asked and he didn't say anything, so I asked about that. And the only time you find out there's a problem is if you force them to start talking to your child one-on-one, and then you realize, well, I'll be damned. They're either not saying anything, they're not doing it correctly, or you're not giving them the time that they need. And next thing you know, this goes, there's not just one teacher here or one teacher there that does that. You got the same problem the way that you do with white supremacists in the police departments. It's the exact same thing. So no wonder by the time if your son makes it to 3rd grade, he's already in the meat grinder. It's already been beating the hell out of his psyche and his self-esteem from the very foundation. It's already been beating the hell out of it. By the time he makes it to 5th grade, no wonder he's talking out and acting up. He doesn't understand most of what's going on in there. His self-esteem and confidence is beaten down. He doesn't believe he can learn any of this. Therefore, he's questioning, why am I here again? What does it matter if I get kicked out? I ain't doing nothing but spending time here anyway. It's just a big old daycare. And now he thinks that that's what the situation is, that he's in the big daycare. If mom is not doing her job, she just puts him there because, well, I need to go to work and somebody need to watch my kid. Okay, well, mom don't give a damn. The teachers, yeah, do you understand anything? No? Okay, good. Teachers don't care. Next thing you know, your kid's messed up. And he won't make it to middle school being messed up. He'll be, I think you can attest, caller, Jay, the die was cast when you were in elementary school. You don't get to middle school. You won't get that far because this has to be done early. We can't wait a long time to do this to you. It has to be done early. Otherwise, there's too much of a chance that you'll have your self-esteem under you by the time we get that far. I'll let you have the last word.
Well, just wanted to correct something. My mom did work in the school system, and I did actually have a learning disability, but there was ways, we worked around that and everything. And because of my mom's connections, it did help out. But I was actually, ironically enough, I had that said learning disability. I was actually one of the top students in most of my classes.
Well, like I say, if you get the actual help you're supposed to have and whatnot, yeah, that is what happens. But for most of these kids, no, most of them just get shuffled off, and that's the last you see of them. Exit the classroom, straight to the school prison pipeline. Thank you very much for giving us a call here tonight. We appreciate that.
Hey, Jace, can I ask you a quick question?
You can ask me a couple of quick questions.
So I've been hearing this often. Well, I've been hearing this tonight, and I'm just asking, I'm trying to look for some guidance. Is this not, as you would say, a severe overdraft? If, say if you're black or whatever race you are, if your own women are quote unquote giving up on you, I've never heard of nothing like this. So I'm just trying to learn.
Well, first of all, let's be very, very clear. 80% of these boys are being raised by women. I think it's starting there. They're coming out into society. They're carrying that with them. While their grievances might be legitimate, it's going to be very hard to get along with people when you're walking in the room with a chip on your shoulder to begin with, or a disaffection to begin with. It can be very hard to do that. So that's when it starts coloring your reality. Okay. That was why I asked Greg what I did, because those are exactly the same ridiculous talking points you hear from the Donovan Doles and the Greg Sexdoll Adams of the internet. You hear that from them too. There's a problem. And I'll go ahead and say this now here. Guys like Donovan will sit up here and talk about, and yes, I'm saying his name. Guys like Donovan will sit up here and talk about how quote unquote bad black women are and this, that, and the other. But then he'll sit up here and go make a whole video series about how white women got him on drugs, got him arrested, got him hemmed up, got him robbed, got him evicted several times. So I'm like, wait a minute. So the black women are messed up, they are messed up, but the white chicks is balling out and everything's great. So the evictions and the arrest, it's okay if the white women do it. That's all right. And by the way, that's not a reflection on white women as a group. That's just her. All 15 or 16 of them, that was just them. But for black women, one of you mess up, they're all like that. See, that's why I don't do it. So where does that come from when your math doesn't work out? When you have dealt with literally 3 or 4 times as many non-black women as you have black women, and yet you have this negative opinion and perspective on black women. That's why I'm saying, okay, if these others are so great, within 10 or 12 women, something should have worked out. You didn't go through 10 or 12 women and nothing worked out, but they're all okay. No. Now, it's either that there's a common denominator, you, or your preferences and whatnot are the same no matter where you go, but you feel more comfortable because you're dealing with some other issue. And rather than deal with that issue, you're framing it in a way that penalizes mom, whether she deserved it or not. She might deserve it. But what I am saying is you're messing yourself up now because everybody's not your mama. Now, we're getting into basic Freud now, but everybody's not your mom, dude. Everybody's not your mom. And you got to deal with that. You have to overcome that idea that everybody's my mama. So that's where that comes from. So when you start hearing that they gave up on them and stuff like this. And the other aspect of it, brother, I'm just going to be totally honest with you here. I mean, this is one of the challenges we run into as black men. Hey, I mean, it is what it is. And if you don't stop moving around so much, maybe I'll bring you on in a minute. Stranger things have occurred, brother. In any case, you know, a lot of fellas out here need to understand I meant what I said. You know, women in the society today, they're working around non-black men every day. So we can't hide from them what the ceiling is. They know what's out there. They know what's out there. They know who's got that. If they work with their white female coworkers, they're hearing these chicks talking about what they did on their summer vacation or what they did on their 2 or 3 week vacation. And she's like, wow, okay, it wasn't sounding nothing like that over here. So what I'm saying is their eyes get opened and their perspectives get broadened, whether we enter the room or not. So we're completely disregarding that. Very brief explanation here to the side so you all can understand that a little more succinctly. Black women, for example, after the 1960s, when you had the civil rights movement, true, but then you had the feminist movement coming in, the women's rights movement coming into progress, into procession. And white women wanted to get white men's jobs. Well, guess what? That left a lot of the lower entry-level jobs that white women had previously been occupying with no one there for it. So guess who got first shot at those? Black women. Well, Jason, what kind of jobs you talking about? Receptionist, bank teller, personal assistant to the extent that they don't do that because that's reserved for the white women. But you get my drift here. The jobs that have been traditionally, quote unquote, female, those are nursing. All of a sudden, you have this category that had never paid as much as white men, but paid significantly more than black women had previously been getting. Now, all of a sudden, this is a thing that is very weighted towards females. So the women are overrepresented in it because the white women left and left the lane open for them. The white men never left the lane open for us. They didn't move out of any of the positions they were in. So the black men were trying to leapfrog and go straight into competition against everybody else because that's what we're supposed to do. But nobody opened the lane. Black women were competing with white women, white men, unfortunately, black men, and anybody else. Well, the white women moved out the way and made a lane for them. So now they've got proximity to all these other things that previously they hadn't had. So their perspectives have broadened. And what they know is out there has broadened. Now, whether they're handling it responsibly is a different matter. But fellas cannot sit up here and say that the burden of performance or the metric of performance is what it was before. It's not. The playing field has fundamentally changed. It has fundamentally altered. And what you're going to have to do to be competitive today is not what your granddaddy did. What made your grandfather a competitive man is not what makes you competitive. It isn't. And a lot of fellas out there, if they didn't have a father in the home who was a competitive man, and you got your mama sitting up here looking crazy and stupid on TikTok or whatever, you're not ready to compete. Guess what? You're angry, you're mad, because these girls are going to let you know you're uncompetitive in middle school. By the time you get to high school, that's a wrap. So now you're coming out, you're angry, you're mad, you're frustrated, you're inselling, and everything is about, well, the black women with an XYZ. Why are you starting with them first? Well, because we're racially segregated anyway. So now he's going to have to go venture to the other side of town because black males don't really have a lot of experiences with non-black females before they get into at least high school, certainly when they get to college. But in elementary school and middle school, you don't have that. The schools are already broken up. I mean, I've been documenting this now for over a decade. The schools are already broken up. It's racially segregated already. It doesn't matter whether you're in the Deep South or Chicago in the Midwest or in California. They're already segregated. San Mateo, California. I've been documenting that now for over a decade. They got that completely segregated. So your kids are not doing that interracial socializing until they get older. So now he's got this Pollyannish fantasy of what it'll be like on the other side. And he's been holding that and holding that and holding that. By the time he gets to high school or college, well, now he can go do it. Well, guess what? He's giving them the benefit of a doubt that he's not giving anybody else. He can't say it's based on his experiences. He has none. So he's giving them the benefit of the doubt. So in other words, he's walking in the door with far less hostility. He's not being hostile toward them at all. He's giving them every opportunity to prove themselves. For the rest of you, you got to prove yourself. So if you want to know where that comes from, that was the long explanation of where it comes from. So I don't get to talk to you all on a regular basis like I would, so I had to be a little bit loquacious in that regard, but that's basically where that comes from. And that can get going very, very quickly, very, very fast in that regard. Did I answer your question?
Yes.
Okay. Let me go ahead and see if I can get Let's here. I think he's finally got himself straightened out over there. Brother, you got yourself, man, you are moving the mic, you're moving the camera around a whole lot. He's doing the most.
Yeah, I was getting water.
Okay.
And then put on some perfume.
All right. Well,
all right. I got a center.
Okay. I'm stuck in that perfume thing, brother, but can you hold the phone still? Just okay, just
hold on.
Yeah,
my bad.
He's putting on perfume. What's your favorite fragrance? So just
Wait, hold on. My bad, not perfume. My bad, homie.
Okay.
Cologne.
I'm sorry. I'm twisting his words by repeating them. But point your camera down, son. You are nervous as hell over there. All right, what's on your mind?
Yeah. You said a lot of things, Jason. You said a lot of things that really hit me because man, I don't know where to start. But I really like your show, honestly, and it's good to be back. You know, I appreciate you answering the call. I do want to ask you though, about this 80% and 20% of a category going on right now. Are you sure it's 80%?
Yes.
It sounds like
yes.
I know, but single mother rate, the single parent household is 77% as of right now.
Well, 80% of Black children are born to single mothers. Now, it can be a little bit cagey there because that's not saying that 80% of, quote, your households. Because remember, you can have a single individual and be a household. So that's not the way it's counting. We're saying 80% of your children are being born to single mothers. Because remember, it's different. Like, I'm in my mid-40s. I don't have any children. Andre is 29, doesn't have any children. Liz is making problems. But in any case, my point is once they start having children, they'll have 3 and 4 and 5. You see what I mean? So if you're counting the children, it's not going to be a 1-to-1 ratio or even a 2-to-1 ratio of you go find 2 random Black children and that there's one male who sired the 2 children. You see what I mean? It's not going to work that way. It's not going to be 1-to-1. It's not going to be 2-to-1. It's really going to be that most of that bottom 20%, to be totally honest. But that just understand in that regard, 8 out of your 10 children are being born to a single mother.
Damn. Okay. How? Well, I understand how we got here exactly, the crack era, and also everything that is not the crack era.
No, that exacerbated it. Certainly, Liz looks hella nervous over there now. It certainly exacerbated the issue, but no, I mean it's basically the federal government stepped in. COINTELPRO, they saw an opportunity to take advantage, and it was social engineering. Long story short, so we'll sit up here and say we'll be father. We'll go ahead and subsidize these things, and we'll subsidize certain behaviors. And once it became, hey, the federal government will subsidize you having children out of wedlock. We'll give you housing and food and everything else here. Well, what have you done? You just destabilized the warrior class. Remember, coming out of World War I, World War II, Black males, you had 70% of your households were married. Next thing you know, what did we do? We came back from World War II. Black men took to the streets. That's what created the civil rights uprisings. After Emmett Till got killed and everything, these were former soldiers. Black Panthers, same thing. These were former soldiers. They had been taught and trained to go stop their enemies overseas. They came back over here and said, you know what? Yeah, maybe we need to bring some democracy to America. Next thing you know, it's like, okay, we got to break that up. But you can't do it overnight, because what you end up with is Watts, Huffington, and all Los Angeles, all the other areas that became war zones. So we don't want to make America a war zone. So what do? We'll make a pressure valve. If we can get the females to go along with the program and get them to put us in the place of the males, then within a generation, we'll have this knocked off. Remember, LBJ said that after he passed the Civil Rights Act, them niggas will be voting for us for the next 50 years.
Yeah, sure did.
Okay, so what does that tell you? They knew what they were doing. This was long-term thinking, the Moynihan Report and everything else. These folks sit around thinking about us for decades. It's like, okay, how can we make a little move here and a little move there that will make this domino effect that will last decades? And that's what you're experiencing now. That's what you've been experiencing. So that's the whole point. It works. And by the way, they're not just doing it in America anymore. Now they're doing it overseas. So every place that they're putting their flag at, Iraq, Afghanistan, South America, you're starting to see the same program rolling out over there too, which is why they're really big about destabilizing those things and changing the culture and the place of women in the society and whatnot. Yeah, y'all need to get these women up. Let them have all the driver's licenses, this, that, and the other. And I'm not saying anything about that women shouldn't necessarily drive. What I am saying is that their motives for doing that are not good.
Yeah.
Everywhere they go, it's about challenging the male authority. The way they did it in America, the way they did it in Afghanistan is bombs. The way they did it in America is budgets and legislation.
Jeez. But to beat your point here, I do want to just point out that, like, after LBJ said his words, he didn't force people to vote Democrat. I mean, is this like some part of MK Ultra where they actually basically convince? I don't know how they convinced Black folks, like a majority of Black folks, to vote for Democrat. Like, how did they actually manage to do that? Did they give Democrats have ever gave some Black folks some money or something, like at least one thing that makes them?
Well, no, Black people as a group have voted their interests, and historically we voted our interests. It was very, very simple. Do you want to stay in chattel slavery? Yes or no? Oops, I'll vote for Lincoln. I don't know what else Lincoln is in favor of, but I heard somebody over there say they're going to take these shackles off. So let me vote for that, and then we'll see what else comes after that. So basically, it's been a very binary way of dealing with things. Binary is understandable when you're in a life or death situation, but it's not a way you want to live your daily life. You want to have options. Yeah. Because the devil is in the details, and nuances will catch you every single time. So the bottom line is, technically speaking, Black folk have been basically voting for the best train rolling at the time from one era to another. But it's time to be more sophisticated. It's not binary in that regard anymore. The smoke and mirrors, and we've become more sophisticated as we become more politically savvy and more politically influential. We're becoming more sophisticated. So certain things that used to work to hoodwink us don't work anymore.
So what about the 80%? So that means that 80% has somehow dwindled down.
Okay, let's be very, very clear about that. I don't worry about the 80%. Jason, how in the hell could you not worry about the 80%? Because that's never the way society works. The 80% are always going to follow whoever the echelon is. So worry less about the 80%. Worry about you becoming a part of the influential top 10%. And notice I said influential. I didn't say rich, but the top 10% of influence. The 80% is going to follow you. That's the way that works. By the way, brother, you got perfume and you got perfume and birds chirping. So I know it's lit at your place. But go ahead.
No, I'm just studying. I'm studying because I've been doing this thing for a couple of years now, like 3 years, about exactly what is going on and why people are voting for Joe Biden when he clearly signed the can you curse here? The effing crime bill in 1994, but yet the Negroes are still falling for this. And hold on, let me show you something, Jason.
Okay. Well, here's my thing. We're discussing something specific here tonight. So definitely, if you want to check back with me on the weekend, why don't you go ahead and do that in the meantime? But I think we covered that here. But thank you very much for giving us a call here tonight. We can definitely chop it up on the weekend if you want to discuss that elsewise. I did have Don here. Now, Don has been messing up on the phone here. Liz, am I making you uncomfortable, ma'am?
No.
Okay, I didn't want to make you uncomfortable or anything. If I'm
good, thank you.
Okay, she threatens me when she's not online, y'all. So just understand. Nobody's gonna believe you don't. So just that's the other thing right there. No one's gonna believe you. Don is calling us from Mars, is what he's doing. Okay, we'll come back to you in a little while, Don. Let me get caller America code 224. You're on live with The Business. What's your name? Where you calling from? Okay, area code 224 is being abducted. Caller from area code 760, you're on live with The Business. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Jonathan from California, from Victorville, California.
All right, Jonathan from Victorville, what's on your mind? Calling us from the bus station.
Oh no, man, I'm at work right now trying to become a producer.
What's on your mind?
I actually had a question. How do I not become like the earlier caller, Greg? I think his name was.
Okay.
Like, my situation is a little bit different. I actually married the person that I had my children with, but I'm 26 and I have 3 kids, so I'm trying to find out how to not make the same mistakes he made and, you know, be one of those Pookies and Ray Rays.
Okay. Well, first of all, let's be clear about a couple of things here. It takes work to be where Greg is. Okay. It takes work. It takes a conscious effort. You don't just drive down the wrong damn street in Dallas and end up where he's at. Okay. That's the result of decades of dedicated, committed effort on his part. Okay. So that was a conscious effort. So don't think, oh man, Jason, I might make the wrong move. Oh, trust me, if it's the wrong move, you meant to do it. So first of all, have your motives correct. Okay. I can understand what it's like. A lot of you fellas out here, like I say, I'm okay. He got his call dropped here. Look, I'm not sitting up here to beat up on anybody in that regard. I'll be the first one to tell you, I was a socially awkward kid too. I was the little nerdy kid in class. I'll be the first one. I'm introverted as hell. Don't like people. Damn sure don't like talking to them, which I've chosen a strange vocation in life when you think about it. But my point is, I know what that's like. I know what it's like to be that. And notice I didn't come out that way. I know what it's like. I promise you all, I'm more cynical and jaded than any of you. I put hundreds of thousands of dollars into broadcasting my cynicism around the world. You can't beat me in that regard. And yet I didn't turn out like that because that takes effort. That takes some motive. My motive wasn't to express that into the world and make that the legacy. My motive was to have a better understanding and better communicate. So I know what it's like to be the young kid who doesn't communicate, is socially awkward and doesn't socialize very well, you know, but that's something you can learn. I know what it's like to be in that situation. And if you are just determined to make things simple and binary because that's easy on you, well, then you might run for that. But it's not going to get you where you think it's going to get you. Take a look at what happened to Greg. He was so worried about the low-class black women. I'm going to use that term. Black women, disrespectful and low class. Got it. And where did he go? Where did he end up at? When you think about that for a moment, when you become obsessed with the enemy, you become the enemy. You can be so determined that you're going to go in a different direction, you actually meet yourself coming back. I would suggest to you that that was what occurred in his case, but you should never be worried or scared that you're just going to slip and fall one day and, oh, hell, I messed up. No, it's going to take work to do that. And the quality of females that you have around you is going to determine that as well. The quality of females you have around you is going to determine that as well. You're going to seek, water's going to seek its own level. And what I'm saying is if he met a single mom and his first order of business was to double up on it, you're looking for a chick who ain't looking for very much. She doesn't want very much. She's not aiming very high. She certainly doesn't have the expectations of you that she should have. So you're like, hell, if she's going to aid and abet in this crime, let me go ahead and run the tables. And that was what happened. Now he's calling us complaining about it. But like, dude, this was a conscious effort on your part. Caller from area code 267. You're on live with The Business. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hi, yes, this is Timmy. I'm calling from Williamsport. How are you? I'm glad to be on your broadcast today. I have 2 questions. Well, one is my brother. I'm afraid he might walk towards the same path as that first guy. So he's dealing with the Asian woman, young lady. And my mom is worried because she feels that he's trying to use him for a green card.
She probably is.
And also, right. And then the second thing is she don't want him to be in a relationship, not because she's racist, but if you understand, like, you know, what's been going on with Chinese people in China, and
your
there's been a lot of
mother does not trust your brother's judgment.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, because you're going to go on a long screed. The bottom line is your mother, who raised him, by the way, so this is a damning commentary on her parenting. Your mother does not trust the judgment of the man she raised.
Right.
So at the next family reunion,
my father is different.
At the next family reunion, give your mom a nice backhand. But in any case, I think that's a very damning commentary that she doesn't trust the judgment of the male that she raised. She was there for the whole.
One more question.
She was there for the whole damn thing. She was there longer than your father was. She was literally there for this man's entire life. She was there before he was there. And this was the result. So no, Mom, you get a penalty card. That's malfeasance. She was the feminine. She was the feminine figure, and this was the best influence that she gave.
Right. Well, yeah. Can I ask one more question?
Yes, Timmy.
Okay. All right. So the last guy, that was on, I noticed that's a big population of guys like him. Particular, I don't want to say the name of a particular YouTuber, but he criticized a lot of Black females. He's been through a lot, and usually it stems from their mothers, who and how the way he actually was brought up in great trauma. Like, he had a very traumatic life under his mother, and so a lot of that projects outward towards other, and also they. For some reason, they
Timmy, you're doing what you usually do, which is why when I see your number, I cringe. You're rambling. What's your question?
I'm sorry. Do you see since the single mother population of young men have grown, are you going to see more males like this, coming up at age, and more men becoming more resentful towards women in general because of
I don't think you could see them becoming more resentful. I don't think you could see that happen. I think numerically that would be incredibly difficult to have. So right now, I think you are reaching peak simpery, is what you're peak beta, if you will. I think we're reaching that now. I actually do not believe that the situation deteriorates further because you've hit rock bottom. Right now, you have a situation where the females in entry-level positions, the females are making more money than the males. And you're also having a situation where the American population is starting to tilt towards majority male. I did this program here a few months ago where I'm showing that the female population is only a couple of percentage points above the males. I mean, actually, it's like 1 percentage point above the males, 1.5%. So what I'm saying is this could very easily tip over another direction here. Globally, males already outnumber females globally already. So what I'm saying is that, okay, Jason, why is that a good? I'm saying that's a good thing. Why is it a good thing? Because, and I'm cynical enough to tell you that that's engineered also. The folks at the top who really run things and whatnot, your policy people, this is part of the plan. It is part of the plan to force males into a position where they have to take back the reins of authority. Because what they understand is that as females, they're led by, well, I won't say the two things in particular here, but Liz, vanity and self-description. Males, however, are usually going to be motivated by aggression, and we're not going to say the other one here because I'm on YouTube, but the bottom line is men are biologically assertive. Now, what do you need to do to trigger that? A threat. Now, what if he doesn't have any natural predators anymore? Create one. Create a predatory environment. Now,
like
at
war?
first, stressors. For example, you're making him work 50, 60 hours a week. You give him no respect. You give him no accolades. And then you tell him that he's going to be subject to the whims of whatever the females do. then give the females preferential treatment. This is going to breed the environment we're talking about. And eventually what will happen is that pendulum is going to start swinging back the other way. That just remember, when you're dealing with any society, the French Revolution, the Bolshevik Revolution, the Chinese Communist Revolution, the American Revolution, what were all revolutions started by, in the words of the immortal Malcolm X? The haves versus the have-nots. And when you put men in a situation where they're doing most of the work and they're the have-nots, it will only be a matter of time before that situation starts to reverse itself. This isn't me talking, this is biology and math. And what I'm telling you is right now, is like, Jason, when's that going to happen? It happens right about now. Yeah. It happens right about here, right about now. And you can already see the last 5 years were nothing like the previous 10 years. The conversations and discussions we're having are radically different. So I'm telling you, this is only going to increase. Now, unfortunately, what will happen is you're unfortunately going to run into a situation where you've got a lot of unqualified people doing the talking. Unfortunately, that's going to happen too. In their attempts to try to mislead and misdirect and create a bad situation, you're going to have folks that they don't really know what they're doing. They don't have any place to take you. All they're going to tell you is, well, the females are screwing up. Yeah, we get that already, but what are we going to do? However, that discontent is going to take over from the simpery and the betaism. That discontent is going to take over, and that's where you're going to end up where you're at. So I'm just letting you know right now, the next 5 years will look different from the previous 5 years.
Okay, can I ask Liz one question?
Yes, you can ask one last question to me. Yes, the emphasis on the word last. Yes, you can ask one last question to me.
Thank you. All right, Liz, I know you're a single mother. I just wanted to know how much quality time do you allow? If you said you had 2 sons, right? How much quality time do you allow your sons to spend with their fathers? And with their father in their lives, and did he had a lot of input in raising them? Because this is a good topic about single motherhood.
Well, let's go ahead and discuss that here, because that's a tricky question. The problem isn't should you give the children quality time with their father. That's not the question. The question is the father a quality man to begin with? Because too many of y'all are out here choosing because you have the luxury, because it's like, well, I can choose an incompetent male because I can make my own money. Well, that sounds cute until the workforce is like, yeah, we're so glad you can make all this money. You need to be here for 180 days straight. Then all of a sudden it's like, well, I need a man. I need competence. I don't want to have to pull this by myself. So you get stuck in the trick bag. Corporate America is set up for the purposes of doing that. That type of stress, men are used to those types of stressors. Women biologically do not respond to those stressors well. They respond very badly, which is why burnout is always endemic on females. Females will demand to get into these jobs, and then they'll be the first ones talking about, okay, I need time off. I need a mental health break, a mental health day. I need FMLA. They fight to get in there. And then, because I don't want no man telling me what to do. And as soon as we put the male's burden of responsibility and expectations on them, okay, get me the hell up out of here. So first and foremost, you all need to choose quality men. A quality man becomes a quality father. But this idea that some attraction to you is going to turn the world's most industrious screw up into a quality father because you ready to snap your fingers. Okay, I need for you to get it together now, so that I don't feel bad in front of Jason, so I don't feel stupid when I go talk to him. It's not going to work that way. Remember what I told y'all, whatever level of productivity and competence a man has when you first sleep with him, that's the max you're going to get for the rest of your life. You will never get him to do 1 percentage point more. If he's okay sitting on the couch playing video games, that's what you just married. That's what you just got pregnant with. And this is what it's going to be. You know why? Because he's going to say one fundamental thing to himself. I'll be damned. It was good enough to get you pregnant. You didn't have a problem getting pregnant by me. when I was on the couch playing video games, that was okay then. How the hell are you going to tell me now that I got to do more? And you know what? He's right. How are you going to sit up here and get pregnant by a guy, marry a guy, and then tell him that he needs to do 10 times more 5 years later? Just because you got pregnant? No. It was good enough to get you pregnant. It was good enough to marry you. Why is it not good enough now? And if it was not good enough now, then it wasn't good enough then. What is it about you that is wrong that you would expect something so ludicrous? So first and foremost, you all have to make better choices and have requirements of competence. But you know what? Competence is boring, Timmy. A competent male tends to be boring. And by that, I mean a competent male doesn't have all day to sit around and gawk at you. He got real stuff to take care of. You're going to have to autopilot. He got with you because he figured you could autopilot. He's not here to take care of your mommy issues. So you have to choose a competent male to begin with. And that's the element that is missing. The 80% of children being born to single mothers are being born by incompetent males. Once they've had their taste of getting their butts kicked by incompetence, they then want to go scramble for competence, but you have no leverage to get it now.
Well, I just want to answer the caller and let her know that I was married to the children, and he was involved in their upbringing, is involved in their upbringing. He spends time with them multiple times during the week. He comes here, they go there, he picks them up, drops them off. They do things together. And I agree with what Jason's saying. You're not going to get a quality father if you're not with a quality man to begin with. And, I am thankful that the father of my children, he is a quality guy, and he has stood by them regardless of the status of our relationship. I'm thankful that we don't have that stereotypical baby mama, baby dad relationship at all. So just want to throw that out there.
Why didn't you allow your sons to live with him if he was so quality?
Well, at this time, he wants to go back to school. There are other things that he wants to pursue, and
before.
Excuse me?
I mean, before, like when they were young, because usually it's good when the sons, when they about 7 or 6, that they live with
years. I've only been divorced for 3.5, 4 years. So, I mean, it hasn't been that long, but where we, through their younger childhood, he was with us, right? We lived together and all of that. But now he has a degree, but he's going back to school. He is focused on, bettering himself in other aspects. So due to the timing that takes out of his schedule, I give grace, and we work out the schedule that works best for us.
Well, I'll jump in here in that regard, though. Yes, I do think that's very, very important. Your boys are going to miss things. They need to live under the roof with a man so that they can see what men expect of you. Females don't expect very much of you because she doesn't know how to make you into a man. They need to have the experience of seeing a man every single day, what he does, how he moves, how he responds to in-home environment, because that's what he's going to pattern himself after. That is why it is so important for this divorce rate to stop doing what it does, even for the ones who do get married, because if it becomes unrewarding, if the boys grow up in situations where marriage where nobody shows them how to maintain a marriage, then guess what? They become men who don't value marriage because they can't value marriage other than making sure that the children are biologically his. And that's Rollo Tomasi's shtick, but to be totally honest, you don't build civilizations based on that alone. That's a nice primer, but you don't build civilizations based on that. You don't build quality people based on that. You don't build communities based on that. Okay, we know who your father is. Yeah, he's the nigga live on the other side of town. We know exactly who he is, but he doesn't live with you. And he's not showing you through his pattern what he does on a daily basis now. He's not doing that. And that's the issue. So I would really, really advise, on top of everything else, it is important that we prioritize this idea that I'm going to say it exactly like it is. This idea that women don't value having an intact home because your grandmothers and great grandmothers, it was life or death before the government came in and tried to make it into a social policy. It was life or death. And that is critical that we get back to that. The reason why you have some of these sissified boys out here emotionally out of control, skinny jeans or sagging jeans, this is a lack of manhood because they haven't had one to pattern themselves after. Discipline is something that you encounter on a daily basis. And if all you guys are home full of females, they'll reach equilibrium with each other, but then she's going to be looking for a leader. And at the end of the day, a woman is biologically going to look for a leader. And the boy needs to have that situation. Well, what is a leader? Leadership is lonely, damn it. Leadership is lonely. You're by yourself. You're on your own. You're in solitude. All the responsibility is on you. Few of the rewards. He needs to be able to learn how to deal with that from an emotional level when he's young. You can't take a 25, 30-year-old male and then dump responsibility on him. He's going to emotionally, reflexively reject it. He doesn't know what to do with that. All he sees, you stressing me. He's responding like his mama and his sister would. And you're like, dude, your drawers ain't made of lace. At least I hope they're not. You're responding wrong. He doesn't know what to do. So emotionally, reflexively, he's responding like the females he's raised with will respond. With you dumping it on them, like, what'd you bring this to me for? Well, you're a man. So there's some females over there to the left. Look at Liz. She can lead. And there's where it comes off the rails. So preferably speaking, it's imperative that we have the men very close by. More importantly, this idea that we can keep having these schisms, we can keep destroying the households, that we can keep doing that, that has absolutely got to stop. I talked to a young woman the other week here, and I told her, I said, that fella you got pregnant by, because that's her baby daddy, she ain't married, did he meet your mother? Yeah. When? One time. After the child was born, or was it before the child was born? One time. Did he ever meet your father? Oh, never met my dad. So let me get this straight. You've been running around dating the fella and laying up with the dude, and the male in your family has never evaluated him. Never. So I can't really give a lot of, I said all that to say I can't really give a lot of credibility to a lot of these quote unquote two-parent households, because I'm seeing a lot of women making a decision that if it's a man that I can't run, if it's a man that I can't dominate, I don't want to have children with him. And then they go get that, and next thing you know, it's a disaster. So I can't necessarily have the idea that, well, if we just give him a two-parent home, we'll be okay. If it's not a two-parent home with a quality male, it doesn't work. I can name for you any number of females I can name right off the top of my head right now. They were raised in two-parent households. They had a father, quote, in their lives. Yeah, but he was beta as hell. He was beta as hell. And all that they did, then now they're single mothers and everything else. And they're going to have a very hard, very rough life. And they've chosen non-quality men. And you know what? You might as well let Greg pull up. You might as well let Greg pull up at this point, because maybe that'd be the best you can do. Thank you very much for giving us a call tonight, Timmy. You know, you're not going to ask any more questions. You're not going to do that. Well, in any case here, Liz, I see your hair is starting to frizzle out, so I don't want that to happen to you here. So
why would it be frizzled out?
I mean, you don't stop.
Nicely done.
There were a bunch of horses that died for that. So
this is real hair.
Stop disrespecting the black stallion. There's a bunch of horses that died for that. So, ma'am, be gingerly.
My scalp. Put some respect on it. Thank you.
Well, I want you to be respectful of them. That's not very good. Andre, I want to thank you for joining us here tonight as well. What I'm going to do is go ahead and wrap up the video part of this here. I've got a bunch of more phone calls I need to take, but I'm going to go ahead and wrap that up. I want to thank both of you for joining us here tonight for tonight's program here. We've been discussing what our value is. And I think it's been very good to have that expressed out there. That is a value, because beyond just what a man makes, having a man who can groom your children properly, particularly your sons, that's valuable. That has nothing to do with what he makes, what his income is. That has nothing to do with what kind of car or house he can buy you. That has nothing to do with whether the plane crashes in the forest. I'm less worried about the Lear jet crashing in the forest and more concerned about the children crashing in the home. I'll let you have the last word, Liz.
Thank you so much for allowing me to be on tonight. I think it was a great show. Really enjoyed the topic. Agreed with the majority of the things you had to say tonight, Jason. Wow, that was awesome.
Yeah, that means you're getting better, Liz. Think about that from what she's getting better, y'all. It's a slow.
It was better tonight. I enjoyed it.
It's a slow road, but eventually we will make a proper woman out of her here. Andre, I'll let you have the last word.
No, I appreciate you letting me come on, and it was great talking with you, Liz. And obviously it was great talking to you, Jason.
Don't say that, Andre. Just because she's single and cute, don't say that, brother. He's a lawyer, y'all. He's a lawyer. Lawyers deceive people, so it's not great talking to Liz. I know I do it several times.
Well, to be fair, I only deceive the IRS, so they're not people. But anywho, but no, I mean, it was great. Like I said, I appreciate you having me on. And like I said, if you're ever doing the Six Figures Men Club for my area, I'll definitely be happy to come back on. But Black first.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate that as well here, brother. And definitely, I'm going to be looking into doing that. I'll be looking to do that. Thank you very much for giving us a call here tonight. I got a few people left on Blog Talk here as well. So let me go ahead and take some of those. Good discussion here. Let me get caller from area code 646. You're on live with The Business. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Zonan from Queens.
Onan from Queens. What's on your mind?
Yeah, so I think the Black man's value in this country has been determined by how much it's been under attack, not only from outside forces, but within the community as well. And I just wanted to get your thoughts on that.
Well, certainly. I mean, it's been an attack from without and from within. And what we have to recognize is, it's just one of those things where that's what it's going to be, man. That's what you're up against. You're not up against something else. That's what you're up against. That's what you're dealing with. So we can complain about it all we like to, but I mean, in the state of war, the folks who are dropping bombs on you, you can't say, "Ooh, man, this messed up. Y'all dropping bombs over here." That's part of their agenda. So the only relevant question is, what are you going to do about it?
All right. Thank you for taking my call. Be one.
Thank you for giving us a call here tonight. Let me get caller from area code 682. You're on live with The Business. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Raheem, Myrtle Beach, South Carolina.
All right, Raheem in Myrtle Beach. What's on your mind?
Yeah, I'm curious. Is that hatred or bias towards Black males? Is that more like an environmental conditioning or like a societal conditioning? And I say this to say this because I know in the past when I would deal with sisters and I would tell them what I was doing, they would always say, "Well, what are you going to do for me? What type of time can you have for me?" But I've never been with a white girl till recently. I've met one, and my dad has struck fear into all his sons about dealing with white girls. Just they kind of scare me because of the things he would tell me. But she seems to be trying to invest in me some of the things I'm trying to do. Even some of the things I want to do may take 5 to 10 years, but she still seems more curious. And she understands I get up at 6 a.m. and my day doesn't end until 11. And she doesn't accuse me of doing anything in between that time. And I haven't messed with her yet, but this is like a month new. But it's like, I'm curious to know, why is this woman like this way compared to, my sisters that I love dearly? That I'm just wondering if it's like environmental or like
no. I mean, because before the meddling by the government, you didn't have this issue. You didn't have Black women talking about men that way in the days of Sojourner Truth and whatnot. So you didn't have that happening. What the dominant society realizes is that if we ease off that valve of segregation, if we start giving Black folk proximity to us, we can have influence inside their homes, something we did not have before. Now, think about that for a few moments. When you had the Fugitive Slaves Act and Slave Acts and everything, Black folk were segregated. The Black church, Black people basically had to build a wall and a barrier around their society for their physical protection. You didn't have any influence. They didn't have any influence in the Black church, except for some of the ministers they bought off. But by and large, they didn't have any influence in the Black church. That's why some of our greatest revolutionaries, Nat Turner and Malcolm X's father, and Dr. King, some of our greatest ones, came from the church. They didn't have influence there. You get to the Civil Rights Acts, and all of a sudden, now you've got influence. Now social policy has been to give influence. After all, if I'm paying you a Section 8 voucher, I own the roof over your head. You damn right I got influence. When they talk about Black men controlling them, nobody controls you more than the federal government. So along with that Section 8 voucher and that WIC voucher and the food stamps, he's got control now. He has influence, something he did not have before. So it doesn't matter what the motives of the first generation of females were who went and willingly walked into that. He can tell you what the end result will be. Yeah, I know why your mom came here, but your daughters will come here for a different reason. And those are the ones I'm after. I'm not after your mom. I'm after your daughters. Now, when you consider it through that lens and see it through that lens, then you realize, oh, hell, this is a long-term strategy. He's not really concerned about what's happening to this generation. He's going to pass the baton off to a new generation of politicians who will continue the policies. And by the way, the new generation of politicians this is the diabolical part about this. By the way, if you all really want a great exercise into it, although it could tax your brains, go and check out the Metal Gear video game series. The storytelling from Hideo Kojima is long, but it's really about how things travel through society. The policies put into practice or put into place by one government administration. By the time you get 20 years out, the folk who are running things then, they'll still be continuing the policy and may not even be able to tell you why it's even there. Maybe he doesn't understand what the original people who put in place intended for it to do, but as long as he continues doing it, it'll work. So he might as well have the same intent. So when they put those policies into place, when Nixon and friends started the, quote, war on drugs, well, you found out Lee Atwater and the rest of them made it clear. Yeah, we said it is an abstract thing. War on drugs is really a war on black people. It's just whatever black people are doing, you criminalize that. So by the time you get to the neocons and the Green Party and the Fox News, by the time you get there, they might not even be aware, although many of them are, they might not even be aware what the motive was for doing that in the first place. Law and order. They'll be saying the slogans. They might not even know what the motive originally was, but as long as they continue the policy, it doesn't matter. The original intent of the people who put this in place will be maintained. It'll be successful. Whether you remember why we started doing this or not, it won't matter. And that's a diabolical level to think about that. That the guy who started this is like, oh, don't worry, I know I won't be here. I got to get this started. I am so invested in your oppression and controlling you that I understand this is a generational thing. So we're going to make a 30-year investment. Think of it like a bond. Think of it like an investment bond. This is our 30-year investment bond. We call it the Civil Rights Act of 1965 and 1969. It's the cost of doing business. And when you take a look at black people's socioeconomic situation, has it changed from 1969 to today? We are still, in the words of Dr. Claude Anderson, in proportional comparative terms, we're right where we always were. We are no more of a socioeconomic threat or dominance than we were then. And that's not accidental. You have to be destabilized from within. You have to be destabilized from within. So what I'm telling you is they don't even know why they started doing it. All they understand something. It's like the modern era. Your kids today have never known the time that there wasn't the internet. They've never known that. As far as they're concerned, television, what the hell is that? We've always used YouTube. You know why? Because the parents handed them a cell phone and an iPad. You see, your parents sat you down in front of a TV. They're sitting down in front of an iPad and a cell phone. They've never known a time that they sat in front of a TV. They've never known a time that they only had, where I'm from, channel 3, 6, and 12. They've never known that. They've always had a million choices. Well, guess what? The chicks getting their WIC vouchers and Section 8 and stuff, they've never known the time that wasn't available. Your grandmama remembers it. If your mamas are old enough, they remember it. The girls today, oh no, there's always been a county check. There's always been that. So as far as they're concerned, that's the way the society is built. They have no concept or idea of what the intent behind it is, but they're buying in. And the dominant society is only concerned that occur because they know what will happen. Those old men who are those college fraternities and Skull and Bones and all those kind of places, they let the young cats know what it is. Okay, you can take a look at your members of Skull and Bones, John Kerry and Ronald Reagan and the Bushes. I mean, when you think about that, and Skull and Bones is just a metaphor. You've got literally hundreds of organizations around there like that around the society. Hundreds. Heritage Foundation, Council on Foreign Relations, Rhodes Scholars. By the way, that one right there is a more common one. Y'all got to watch your so-called Rhodes Scholars, especially and including the black ones. These are societal schemes and plans that have been in place for decades. And the folks who did this knew what the result was intended to be. And I suggest to you the result is still right there. It's worked out wonderfully when you think about it. It's worked out wonderfully. It really, really has. A lot of folk think the society has been transformed. No, it hasn't. They were willing to concede some things. As long black people's successes by and large have been symbolic. Having Michael Jackson is the #1 selling music artist in history. Okay, how did that change our lives? Great, wonderful thing. I love this music. Fantastic accolade for Mike. But how did that trickle down to the rank and file black person? Oprah Winfrey. But way before you had Beyonce and Jay-Z together, you had Oprah Winfrey and Michael Jackson together. Remember that cover of that magazine, the Jet magazine? Two tremendously wealthy black folk. What did it do? Then you add Bill Cosby to the mix. When you start doing the numbers, you start realizing, now be damned, this is really symbolic. And then when you start going back further, you realize, oh, hell, they've done this before a long time ago. Jack Johnson. They've understood this for a while. They don't have any problem with black people being in prominent positions where the maximum reward is attention and maybe a few coins, because we got to incentivize you. But those coins will never be enough to give you power. Man, you'll be a well-paid entertainer, but you ain't calling no shots. Well, Jay-Z, Rockefeller, Jay-Z bows to the damn NFL. He's in business with the NFL. No, he's not. He's a vendor for the NFL. He's a vendor. And they can cut that off anytime they choose. And they will. By the way, one more thing. And they will. That's going to happen one day too. Rinse and repeat.
So it is more social conditioning or engineering and just your environment being around the wrong people 24/7 all the time.
The environment reflects the social conditioning.
Okay.
If you can socialize. Think about prison. You want to talk about social conditioning? Take a look at the way prisons run. Anybody who's analyzed prisons across this country realize they operate differently in different places. Well, hell yeah, they do. They sure do. The way that prisons run in California is not the way they run in Louisiana. And the way they run in Louisiana is not the way they run in Philadelphia. And the way they run in Philadelphia is not the way they run in New York or Chicago. The rules are different. The social mores are different. Well, guess what? That's a socialized, socially engineered environment. You don't get more socially engineered than a prison. Right down to the fact that you see people's, shall we say, sexual proclivities begin to change. All of a sudden, the aggressive, you got grown men. I don't care if he went in there for tax fraud. You leave him in there for 10 years, he's coming out a more aggressive person than he went in. If that's not the definition of social engineering, controlling the environment, I don't know what is. So no, sir. That's why it is so important for us to be able to control what the policy is towards us, because that controls the environment. Those are the people outside of your home who have authority inside your home. That's something to consider. There's folks outside your home who have authority, or at least they have influence inside of it. Thank you very much for giving us a call tonight. I mean, look, I know it can be diabolical. It's a winding road. It is not straight. It is not straight at all. And this goes over the course of generations. So it can be hard to track these things back down to their source. And here's the killing part about it. Even if you can track it down to its source, what are you going to do? Literally all of the people All of the people who mattered, who put the Civil Rights Act of 65 into place, they're dead and gone. Most of the ones who did 69, dead and gone. The Moynihan report, Moynihan's been dead now. Hillary Clinton got the Senate seat. Now neither Hillary Clinton nor Moynihan are in the Senate anymore. Moynihan's dead and Hillary Clinton is hanging on. So even if you could track it back down to its source, what you gonna do? For social reasons, it's good to know where it comes from so that we know because these things repeat themselves and these strategies repeat themselves. But the killing part about it is if you want to deconstruct it, knowing where it came from isn't going to help you, because you can't legislate against the Civil Rights Act of 1965 because it won't do you any good anymore. So you can't fight that one anymore. Now you got to fight the new situation, the new environment that you're in today. Now you got to deal with that. Now you're up against that. And are you competent enough and able enough to be able to deal with that? Because if you're not, it's going to throw you for a damn loop. It's going to throw you for a damn loop. And you'll just be spinning your wheels in circles and you'll be fighting the wrong damn enemy. Let me go ahead and see. I got Jermaine on the line here on Zoom. What's on your mind, brother?
Hey, how you doing, Jason? How you doing?
All right, what's on your mind?
Hey, I'm well, bro. What's on my mind? I'm really listening to what you're saying. You were going back to you're going to really break down, like, what can you do in a situation where even if you were to get the information and understand where everything is coming from, what do you do from there? And I think you've been talking about the answer for some time now. Now the question is, are people willing to have the motivation and the work that they got to put in to make that happen?
Well, let me go ahead and discuss that for a moment. Let me ask you one question here, Jermaine. What do you think the work is that needs to be put in?
Well, from what I've gathered, the work, you have to start with yourself. Like, you have to really begin, especially as men, you have to really begin to build your competence. You have to really build upon understanding your environment, understanding yourself first, and then understanding your environment. That's how we were able to make any strides as men, period. You have to know your environment. You have to know yourself first and then know your environment. And most of us are not willing to put that work in. So at least first start of who you are and then find out, okay, what's going on around me.
Well, let me go a little bit further with that. You are not going to be able to get anything done if you do not accept a simple reality that you are going to get what you take. Power is not given, power is taken. If you are seeing yourself as a man and you are in a weakened position, that's probably because power was taken from you. And if you don't make up the mind and have the resolve that, you know what, I'm only going to get out of this if I'm willing to take it. If you haven't made that decision from Jump Street, nothing's going to happen. You have to have that idea and that mindset. I'm only going to get out of this if I'm willing to take it. Now, let me explain what willing to take it means. When I tell these fellas about when it comes to your finances and whatnot, you're going to have a mindset of conquest. You can't have a different one. It can't be to get women. That can't be your motivation. That can be a side motivation. I mean, biology is biology. Okay, just have your understanding that women come with success. Notice I said success, not money. But women come, even though women do come with money, but if you're looking for a quality female, money isn't the end all be all that accomplishes that. But if you're going to be successful, you're going to have to take it. You have to work 4 times as hard to earn the same damn dollar. You're going to have a mindset that, hey, I'm going to have to take what I get. I can't be Mr. Nice Guy. Whatever your vision of Mr. Nice Guy is, that's not going to work for you. If it does, you're probably going to have to sacrifice or give away some part of your soul for it.
There's something that I'm listening to you, but there's something that just came across my mind as you were talking. I do believe that there is something that's going on with, there is an illusion that individuals believe that they have power. But how can you take something if you already believe that you have it? You understand what I'm saying? There's a lot of us who believe that we have power and we are powerful. You feel me? But you can't take something if you already believe that you have it. That's the part I mean by knowing yourself, knowing what's really going on with you. Who are you really? What do you really have? And if you have a mind where you believe that you're a, quote unquote king and all that stuff, and you
well, I mean,
believe
yeah, that's what I mean. It becomes
they
become cliches, they become slogans. So it really becomes about, if I can adopt a mindset. And truth be told, that's quite honestly, that's prison babble.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
When dudes who are in prison, they talk about these things. You're trying to intellectualize power. Yes, an aspect of power is understanding. Sure.
Exactly.
But let's be very, very clear. It is 10% understanding and 90% execution. And it's the execution part. It's like, okay, nigga, now that you get it, what are you going to do? Well, I'm going to work on my rap skills. Okay. Well, what are we going to do about it? Well, I'm going to you got to understand. No, I need to see I put a post on Facebook here earlier today that said, for every move you all see me make, there are at least about 2 or 3 dozen calls, emails, Google searches, on the road trips. For every move that you all see, there's 20 or 30 things that I did that you didn't see, just to make one thing that you did see happen. Hell, there was a dozen moves that had to be made just to make tonight's program happen. Just to make tonight's program happen. That's just to see one thing. And you might say it's minor or modest. Okay, fine, it's minor or modest. Imagine how much work you got to put in to get something major to happen. And if you don't have that dedication, that, okay, it might take me 70 or 80 or 100 moves to get something really significant to happen. If you're not willing to put that in, no, nothing occurs. You can't intellectualize your way through 100 moves. It's like chess. You can't intellectualize your way to winning a chess match. You have to execute. No, you can't even just understand. You got to execute. All the understanding in the world doesn't help you if you don't move your damn piece. It doesn't help you if you don't move your piece. You have to move it. So when you're dealing with weak individuals, and a lot of this weakness comes from in the home, if you haven't seen a father who that's his core principle, he makes moves, he does things. There's a reason why certain dudes, I take a look at their kids and I'm like, okay, that guy's going to be the next mogul. For example, when I take a look at Master P and his son, there's a different dynamic than P. Diddy and his. Master P doesn't really go to Instagram and, hey, take a look, I bought my kid a Rolls Royce or something like that. My kid is here to get views on Instagram for me. Master P took his son to Tryon and said, hey, this is the guy who builds black supercars. And his son is sitting right there with him, not at some gala or some dance party. So if you're asking me who I got my eye on, it's like, which one of these kids do I think is going to be a leader? Because both of them are going to be well-known and famous, but not because of anything they did. So who is going to be ready to take the reins from their father and continue the work and the hustle that he put in? I see one who, when he's taking them somewhere, is to get photographed. I see another one is like, hey, I want you to meet this man over here. He does things. This man over here I'm taking you to, he does things.
That's true. I mean, Master P definitely do his thing. That's for sure.
So that's the kind of thing I want you to keep in mind. When you see that kind of thing, those fellas out here who think it's going to be brought to them or even behave like it. In a lot of cases, they don't even understand that they're behaving like it. It's not going to be brought to you, bro. I've told you all for years, the beginning of The Departed, see, some folks got a screwed up mindset about it. The beginning of The Departed, that soliloquy by Jack Nicholson at the beginning of The Departed, with Jack Nicholson and Leonardo DiCaprio.
Yeah, I remember that.
And that should be required listening to. And he sits up there and says, as the Irish folk, we took our part of the city. And then he says it, and that's what the niggas don't understand. If I got one problem with the black chappie, it's this. No one gives it to you. You have to take it. Now, let's be very clear. That was Martin Scorsese talking. But understand, that's a white man just being brutally honest with you. By the way, he's like, I sympathize with y'all, but understand something, brother. You and me, when we were driving by today, we probably passed by somebody at a red light who was sitting there with a sign saying, we'll work for food or can I get $5? Now, did you and I hate him? No, we didn't. Did you and I want to victimize him or oppress him? No, we didn't. Did you and I sympathize with him? Yeah, we do. But do you and I want to be friends with him? No, we don't. Just because I sympathize with you doesn't mean I'm trying to snuggle up, or doesn't mean that I'm going to be more, I'm going to be more charitable with you. I understand your situation. Yes, I see exactly where you are. Yeah, that's not really going to soften my demeanor. It really isn't. Quentin Tarantino, Django Unchained. I told you all for years when he had the moment where Leonardo DiCaprio was talking about, his father, Uncle Ben, was giving his father a shave with a straight razor every day of his life for 50 years. And he said, if that had been me, I'd have slit my damn father's throat, and it wouldn't have taken me no 50 damn years to do it neither. That was Quentin Tarantino talking. What these white men were saying is, yeah, nobody's going to give it to you. You got to take it. Nobody's going to give it to you. So whether it comes to your finance, your jobs, your politics, your women, the street, the culture, the media, anything, you're going to get what you take. As black men, if we want to get respect and get value, when we start taking what is ours, as opposed to sitting up here and begging folk for it, that's what's going to change the dynamic when we start taking what is ours and show that is our attitude and our demeanor. Is, I didn't come here to ask. No, I didn't do that. I came here to get what's mine. I didn't come here to ask you for it.
I 100% agree with you. I think the issue is when you really do believe that you already have power, though. Like when you really do believe in yourself, like, I have this power. You understand what I'm saying? Like they believe that because they see people playing basketball or playing football. You understand what I'm saying? They see these things subconsciously and they believe that they have power. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, when you're fantasizing,
I follow you. I follow what you're saying. I'm not even.
Weak people deal in intangibles. There was a post that there was something I was talking about with somebody earlier today when I was saying that that people who don't have a future spend their whole time talking about the past. They get on the social media and post up memes about the past. If you're going somewhere, your attitude, what I see you post about, what I see you talk about, what I see you doing is going to reflect where you're going. If I see it reflecting where you've been or some other intangible, well, I already know. It's like, yeah, you're defeated. So what you're really describing is when you're dealing with folks with a defeated mindset, if he's been defeated, he's going to fantasize, he's going to intellectualize, he's going to talk about it, he's going to tell you he's already won. What makes you think you've already won? I got the right mindset, I got the right mental state, God is on my side, Allah is on my side, Vishnu is on my side. It ain't all about money, brother. It's not all about status. It ain't all about what you can do. It's about having the right mindset. Okay, and your mindset has produced what?
I got you on that one. You said fantasy, bro.
Yeah, so that's why I'm using those terms there, but just understand
that's good.
When they're dealing with intangibles, the bottom line is, how is he so comfortable? What makes him think he's running anything? What makes him think he's all right, dude? Can't you see your situation is deficient? Well, he's resorting to a coping mechanism, which is what a weak person has to do, because ultimately he wants your respect, but he doesn't have anything tangible to get it with. So he's got to resort to conning you by starting by conning himself. Well, don't worry. See, I got something to respect. You just can't see it. No, that's not the way respect works. If you have something to respect, I can see it. That's the whole point of respect, is you can produce whatever it is. You're trying to talk your way through this because you can't actually produce it.
No, that's understood. That's understood. So at the end of the day, what a man has to value is dealing with things from a tangible standpoint, and really building upon the competence. I mean, if you end up having the competence and intelligence, then you have to end up doing something with it rather than just sitting around, just, talking and not really getting anything done, especially just debating just to be debating.
Well, I mean, there's the whole issue about it there is that, understand something, ministers will be judged by what they do, not what they say. See, that's the whole problem with this damn intellectualization and debate society and things. We're supposed to be more valued for what we do, not what we say. The most powerful men are the ones who say very little. All he got to do is give a wink, a nod, a gesture, and things getting done. So we understand as men, that's where real power is. And you're supposed to be moving and trending in that direction. Not in the direction where everything you do is based on you sitting up here talking because you haven't done anything. So just be clear, as men, we're supposed to be trending in that direction. We're supposed to be 90% valued on what we do, Not only you sitting up here talking, because talking is how you try to bluff your way around and conceal that you haven't done anything. So ultimately, that's where it needs to be. If a female is doing the right thing, the whole purpose of upgrading a chick is that you are communicating with your actions, not your words.
Yo, man, bro, I agree with you 100% on that one.
The whole reason for rewarding them is that, and guess what? Bro. The other reason how you sit up here and penalize disrespect is through your actions also. Not your words, your actions. If an employer is doing what they're supposed to be, you're supposed to reward him with your actions, not your words. The reason why you excel at your job is that you are speaking with your actions, not your words. And if he starts screwing up, when he doesn't see you that morning, he's like, you left us hanging. Yes, I talk to you with my actions, not my words. When you have a mechanic, you have a CPA, they do what they're supposed to do. Money's supposed to be Johnny on the spot. He ain't supposed to be chasing you around. He's not supposed to be looking for you. If anything, you're supposed to be chasing him around. If you did a good job, let me tell you something. If you did a good job in my car or something, I'll chase you to make sure you get your money. I ain't going to chase you too far, but I'm going to make sure that you understand I value this with my actions, not my words. Like Jason, well, I'll be damned. You drove all the way across town to get this money to you. Yes, I'm showing you through my actions, not my words. I value what you did. I literally had a friend. I'll go ahead and say this tonight. I literally had a friend back when I was in transportation. This fella here, I'm not going to say his name because he might be listening, but he knows who he is. And anybody who knows me knows who he is. He loaned me $100. I want to say loan me $100 back in 2002. Things did not go well shortly after that. And I wound up having to do a bunch of moving around and stuff like that. But I remembered that. I remembered it. And when I got things together, which was about 5 years or so later, I came back and I found him. He recognized me, but he was like, wow, you look older. Well, it's been 5 years, but yes. I wasn't working for the same people anymore. I had my own thing going on. And I said, yes, I came to give you something. I think he thought I was going to punch him in the eye or something. It wasn't that kind of party. I gave him $500. I said that by my estimations and with interest and everything like that, plus surcharges and what we do, I figured that that would be enough there. He was looking at me crazy. He was like, you didn't have to do that. And I said, yes, I did.
Well, that was thorough.
But my thing is, at the time, I was unable to do that. And would I have ever run into him in life again and that been an issue or not? I don't know. But you know what? I don't ever have to ask or wonder now either. I don't have to wonder if he would be okay running into me in the future. I don't have to wonder that or ask that now. I don't have to think about it. I don't have a single person out there that I owe $1 to who I'm worried about running into. You know why? Because I don't owe them. Or if they think I owe them, I already have my lawyers show them why I don't. But I don't have a situation where it's somebody out there that I'm worried about running into them. So guess what? I ain't got them problems. I don't have to think about it because my character told me, you know, you got to go back and go see Robert, right? You know you got to go back and go see him. Oh, I'm saying too much. Anyway, you know you got to go back and go see him. You know you have to take care of that, don't you? And I had other stuff going on. That's 5 damn years. I got other stuff going on. Yeah, we got to go take care of this business. So it sounds like a vendetta when you think about it. It's like, yeah, it's been 5 years. Yeah, I got to catch up with him. 5 years later, you ain't trying to kill him? No. So what I'm saying is that that's aggression. Yikes. Am I going 10 tons tonight? I guess I did. That's called aggression. That's being aggressive. But not in the sense of aggressive to hate somebody. This is you are being aggressive and tenacious about getting the job done. What are you fighting against? I'm fighting against circumstances, time. This man might be dead by the time I get back to him. I'm fighting against that. I'm not fighting against him. I'm fighting against circumstances. And I'm aggressive and tenacious about that. That's what I'm fighting against. When you have that attitude as a man and you are speaking with your actions, not your words, then results are going to show themselves. Oh, yeah, by the way, one more thing. During that 5-year period, I didn't have a girlfriend either. One more thing. During that 5-year rebuilding period, I didn't have a girlfriend either. So you see, I didn't have a woman to quote unquote let down. I was busy focusing my effort and my work on being a guy who can look other men in the eye.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Let me say that again. I didn't have a girlfriend. I was focused on becoming a man who could look other men in the eye, including somebody that you owe money to. Now, when that becomes a core character trait and people see that that's how we move across the board, then their attitudes towards us as a group is going to change radically. Their attitude is going to change radically. Oh yeah, one more thing. I didn't ask him if he would take it back, neither. I didn't ask him, nigga. I didn't come to request you do this. I can't. Oh no, I'm here to drop something off, whether you want it or whether you're not. I didn't know. I didn't care if you were making $1 million. Now you got $1,500,000, and I didn't come to ask it of you.
That was about you, though. That was more about you and your integrity, man. That was what that was about.
And I haven't seen him. I haven't seen him since. But my real thing is, brother, when we talk with our actions, not our words, move fellas off the board or out the room who are here to talk. Once you start hearing a bunch of talking going on, just recognize he's doing that because ain't no moves going to be made. It's not going to be any moves made, and that's the deadliest component that we have. I didn't get here tonight so we can complain about these things. I got here tonight so that we can get on the same page about them. But ultimately, it's not about it's not about doing a bunch of talking. It's like, okay, what's the next thing you do? And everybody knows about me what the next thing is you do is. But if you want to know where it's lacking at, brother, they're looking to see where our actions are. And are our actions and our words matching up? So, Mr. I'm talking about being in charge. He likes an environment where nobody does anything because nobody's coming to him holding him accountable for his lack of action. So, of course, he likes it. He's perfectly fine. He doesn't want a room where there's a bunch of dudes moving and shaking and getting things done. He doesn't want that because eventually everybody's going to look at him. In a room full of producers, they look for the weak link. By the way, we couldn't help notice you among us. What you getting done again? Well, you see, brother, what it is as the acolyte of the religion of the politics. Okay. Next thing you know, he finds himself not being invited anymore. Yeah, it doesn't take very long. Because we understand, dude, we're carrying you. Somebody got to pay for the lights on here and everything else. And if you're not contributing, you're a parasite. You're a liability. Out you go. I'll let you have the last word.
No problem, brother. Thanks, man. There was something I thought about too. Is when you are a producer, one of the best things to do is pass that production down to the children, because you're right. There's people that are looking at things generations ahead, so they're not moving based on what's going on right now. They're thinking about the future. Sadly, we really not moving with that type of mind state. We're not really taking that time to really teach our children how to produce. We're usually teaching them how to produce for others. You feel what I'm saying? So yeah, I can see one of the solutions is when you become a producer and you're doing what you need to do, your legacy is this. One of the part of the solution is to teach your children how to do the same, sort of like how you said with Master P and his son. So yeah, I'm with you.
Results. That is more important than anything. That's going to matter more than anything. And when you gauge by results, you are rarely, if ever, going to go wrong. Thank you very much for giving us a call here tonight. Don't give people credibility or credit for things they haven't done. Let me get caller from area code 804. You're on live with The Business. What's your name? Where you calling from? Okay. Dude's television is on the fritz. By the way, thank you to everybody who's contributed to tonight's program here on PayPal, Cash App, or Super Chat. So thank you very much for that. I appreciate that. So Poggle, Phaser, everybody else there, thank you very much for your support. We appreciate that. Let me get caller from area code 415. You're on live with The Business. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Everybody, thank you very much for your support. We appreciate that. Let me get caller from area code 415.
Okay, 415 is not paying attention. Okay, most likely he put the phone down and then walked off and said, don't worry, I'll be back in a minute. And what he found out is you snooze, you lose. Caller from area code 202. You're on live with The Business. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hey, what's going on, man? Yusuf is my name. How y'all doing out there today?
He says, you simp?
Yusuf.
Okay, I thought you said you simp. Okay, I thought you said you simp. I was like, okay, you simp. I mean, no, I ain't hating on you. No, do you? I just want to make sure I got the name straight. I'm like, okay, hey, you simping, all right? Do you, man? Do you?
Nah, thank God. Nah, I know you simp, but no, I was listening to the conversation, brother, and from what I surmised from the conversation, you and the gentleman just left off. I mean, it's about men going into the earth, tapping the natural resources, pulling them out, gold, oil,
90 seconds.
Resources, producing it in good material, and shipping it all over the world, man. In a nutshell, that's what it's about. Manipulating material matter.
Well, that takes drive, determination, maturity, and a bunch of other things to accomplish that. So thank you very much for giving us a call here tonight. He's absolutely correct in that regard. These are not simple things to accept, but these are important things to accept and understand. So what is a black man's value? Fellas, your value is in what you do, what you command, not what you demand, but what you command. You see, you take command. You don't ask for command, you take command. If you are in charge, you don't let somebody else allow you to be in charge. If you are in charge, you take your position. Most of these fellas out here today are dealing with things from a position of weakness because they're waiting for somebody to come and bring it to them or open up a lane for them or to make it possible for them and whatnot. It's like, dude, that's not the way that works. That's not the way that works. And other people are not respecting that. So that's why I was saying, why is this we as black men, you want us to sit up here and be the nice guy about it? That's not even what people want from us. They don't even want that from us. They don't want us being the nice guy about that. Because what they're really worried about is, hey, when we step into the arena, we tend to do a whole lot harder than that. We tend to go a whole lot harder than that. So it becomes a situation where sitting up here expecting people to give you something, make it easy for you. No, if it's yours, you're supposed to step in there and take it. If it's yours, you're supposed to step in there and take it. You see, the lack of respect comes from the fact that you haven't done that. People respond to power. They follow it. That's why I was telling the young man here before about leads, about the 80% versus 20%. When you step in and take what's yours, people respond to you differently. You're not supposed to make them happy with you first and then take what's yours. You take what's yours and then they get happy. Let me say that again. You don't make people happy with you first and then take what's yours. You take what's yours, whether they're happy or not, and believe me, they're going to get happy with it. They'll be okay with it. They're not going to have a whole bunch of choices. They'll be okay with it. You go take what is yours. You go take what is yours. You don't ask about that. You take what's yours. That's the way it's always supposed to be. You can't get respected any other way. You take what is yours. And just me saying that, that's making some folks uncomfortable with just me saying that. Ooh, he said the word take. Sounds like a purse snatching. Take means that you do not allow other people to continue holding what belongs to you. If you have done the work and you've put in the miles and you have done what is necessary, then that belongs to you. But understand something, just because something belongs to you doesn't mean folks gonna drop it off. If they living lovely, that doesn't mean they're gonna drop it off. Let me tell you something here. As a man who has lived that life, I can tell you right now, when you set some folks up nice, even if they haven't treated you necessarily the way they're supposed to, oh, don't worry. They get used to that real damn quick. Let me tell you something. Just because you're making the car payment doesn't mean when you tell the person, hey, I need you to bring my car back by here, they're going to bring it by. That doesn't mean that. Especially if they are loving the ride, it doesn't mean that. That's not what it means. That's not what it means. They like them seats. They like that key fob. They like the way it smells. They like the way it starts up. It's like, oh, you're going to have to chase me to get this. What you talking about? My name's on the title. I'm paying for it, this, that, and the other. Bring my thing. Oh, but baby, you know, it's so nice and everything. It's, okay, well, bring my thing. Just because something is yours doesn't mean folk gonna drop it off. You might have to boss up and pull up. Okay, I'm through asking. I'm through asking. I'm giving you some real life examples here. Literal examples. I want to thank everyone who joined us here tonight, including Liz. Thank you, Andre. Thank you, everybody who called in here. And thank you, everyone who's watching in here now. If you are new here to the business, welcome to the program that all of your favorite YouTubers love to rage watch and talk trash behind my back. They all know who I am. They're all afraid of me. They're going to have a whole lot more to be afraid of here as time goes on. So make sure you click that red subscribe button, click that yellow notification bell. Join us each and every time. I plan on being back here tomorrow night. I'm looking at getting a special guest maybe to join me. So I'm looking at that because there's a couple of things in particular I want to discuss. So if I can get this person in particular, I think they'll have some insights into it. So I'm checking on that. I'm going to see what I can get done. If it works out, great. If it doesn't, hey, probably going to be here tomorrow night anyway. So same time as tonight here, 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. Make sure you go ahead and join us for that. And if you haven't joined our Patreon, the link is in the description. You definitely want to go ahead and check that out and sign up for that as well. People love it. There's a reason for that. Folks keep asking me about the workshops and things. I'm still working on that. Because there's some folk I want joining for that in particular. For the last train leaving, like I say, sometimes I have to be patient about this, but don't worry. It is not lost at all. We're going to be getting that done here as well. I want to thank all of you for joining us here tonight. And this concludes tonight's broadcast of The Business. I am your host, your brother, your humble servant, Mr. Jason Black. And until next time, my brothers and my sisters from around the world, remember, handle your business or your business will handle you.